by Masemi. Buhari surprises agency with unexpected gift.
The NSC will provide overall political leadership, strategic direction, and guidance for the implementation of an initiative in Nigeria in line with the national priorities.
Boosting agriculture, Nigeria takes bold steps from Vietnam, joins UN hand-to-hand initiative.
Inability to complete the project within the period projected 6 years period will continue to put pressure on the two seaports located in Port Harcourt and Lagos and the existing roads.
Plus, social investment bill progresses in the Senate as House of Reps seeks continuation of East-West Rail project. Hello and welcome to NTA Network News. I'm Ian John and we're live in Abuja. Adiola Komiokere joins me from Lagos. Thank you for joining us. And just to let you know that you can follow this news live on our website, nta.nj/live. NTA News Now and other social media platforms displayed on the screen for updates. We begin with the transport sector tonight as a new Civil Aviation Act 2022 has been signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari towards repositioning the industry in full compliance with ICAO standards, as well as meeting the challenges of dynamic and rapidly growing air transportation. The president, who stated this while granting audience to the visiting delegation of ICAO Council, also confirmed his approval for the establishment of Aviation and Aerospace University in Abuja to cater for research and development in the sector. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo brings us details.
The International Civil Aviation Organization Council delegation, led by its president Salvatore Sciascitano, is in Abuja for the 2022 Air Services Negotiation Conference. It is a platform for the consolidation of all pending bilateral and multilateral air services agreements for enhanced and cost-effective air transportation globally.
More than 4,000 agreements have been reached thanks to this event.
Nigeria is going to sign with a few countries and everything is working very well.
President Muhammadu Buhari takes pride in the fact that Nigeria, which has been a member of ICAO since 1962 and championing the cause of aviation safety, security and facilitation in Africa, had ratified all international air law instruments.
Aviation industry in Nigeria is increasing by leaps and bounds. The sector under this administration has more than doubled. It became the fastest growing of our economy pre-COVID according to National Bureau of Statistics. Passenger numbers were raised from 8 to 20 million. The 5 new airport terminals have added 50 million passengers to our capacity. All this within the time we are in government.
While stating emphatically that the aviation roadmap being implemented by the Minister Hadi Sirika is on course, the President said his administration also adopted a civil aviation policy centered on liberalization and public-private partnership initiative and designated 4 airports as free trade zones. In Abuja alone, he said 12,000 hectares of land is made available for investment towards driving more benefits in this regard.
We will continue to make significant investments in the provision of aviation infrastructure and facilities for safe, secure, environmentally friendly and sustainable economic development of international civil aviation. Our country will also keep supporting the ideals and aspirations of International Civil Aviation Organization and the achievements of its strategic objectives in collaboration with other member states of the organization.
Nigeria, the President said, has signed the pilot implementation of the Single Africa Air Transport Market in the spirit of the African Union Agenda 2063 and will continue to be committed to air transport liberalization and open skies. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And away from our shores, President Muhammadu Buhari will on Wednesday in Bissau, Guinea-Bissau, be decorated with the country's highest honor in recognition of his contributions to the political stability of the West African nation. President Buhari will honor the invitation by President of Guinea-Bissau, Omar Sissoco Embalo, for the special ceremony that will be held at the presidential villa, which will include commissioning of a road named after him, Avenue President Muhammadu Buhari, at the capital city. The one-day celebration will highlight the leadership role of President Buhari in the West Coast, particularly in Guinea-Bissau. During the visit to Bissau, President Buhari and the Nigerian delegation will participate in a bilateral meeting. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has directed the conferment of excellence service as well as the National Honors Awards of Office of the Order of the Federal Republic and the Executive Vice Chairman of NACENI, Professor Muhammad Sani Haruna. This is in appreciation of his exemplary leadership and tireless efforts at making NACENI one of the important legacies his administration is bequeathing for a sustainable future to the country. The president gave the directive while inaugurating the Technology and Innovation Complex named after him at the headquarters of the agency. Again, State House correspondent Damu Sambo has the details.
It was a joyous moment of remarkable significance at the headquarters of NACENI as President Muhammadu Buhari came calling, the first by any Nigerian leader since the establishment of the agency over 3 decades ago. He is here to inaugurate the Muhammadu Buhari Technology and Innovation Complex that is critical to Nigeria's industrial and technological advancement. It consists of, amongst others, virtual reality, manufacturing, high-powered computing, and fourth industrial revolution laboratories, which the president says now guaranteed a more promising future for Nigeria's competitiveness amongst global economies.
With our deliberate repositioning of NACENI to be at par with other similar agencies of government across the world and optimal performance, we are convinced that the future maintenance and sustainability of our key national infrastructure are assured. New NACENI is undoubtedly among the most important legacy of our administration, is bequeathing to next government in 2023.
Apart from inventing useful and historic intelligence and defense-related equipment and devices, NACENI is currently implementing, amongst others, smart irrigation projects for multi-crop season farming, the National Tractor Recovery and Rehabilitation Project, the assembly of 2 helicopters towards first made in Nigeria helicopter, and the development of solar cells for 100% solar module production, thereby contributing to Nigerian transition to a manufacturing economy.
Let me emphasize that NACENI, under my watch as chairman, has done well. We are sure that these advanced science and engineering core facilities will assist our nation in the attainment of African Union's Agenda 2063 and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2030.
Mr. President, this has shown that you are very interested on how we can move our country from being a consumption country to a production country, and I pray that the foundation that has been laid will go a long way in shaping the economy of this great nation.
The Executive Vice Chairman of NACENI, Professor Muhammad Sani Haruna, sincerely appreciated President Muhammadu Buhari for his courage and political will in approving all that NACENI asks for, saying the agency is not only indebted to him and Nigeria, but resolutely committed to exceeding all expectations by contributing towards overcoming Nigeria's development challenges for sustainable future.
Your Excellency, NACENI is ready, and God willing, we will soon provide innovative technology solutions for stopping crude oil theft and bunkering, vandalization of power line and pipelines, as well as surveillance and monitoring devices for our rails, roads, and seas.
President Buhari later undertook a guided tour of exhibition stand where various innovative products were on display. Established in 1992, Naseni has a vision to create an enabling, knowledge-driven environment for local mass production of standard parts, goods and services required for Nigeria's technological advancement. In Abuja, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And away from science and tech, a high-powered delegation of political, religious and business leaders from Gombe State has formally appreciated President Muhammadu Buhari for his role in the discovery of oil in commercial quantity in the Kolmani area. This was during a thank-you visit to the State House, from where Adamu Sambo reports.
The delegation led by Governor Muhammad Yahya had told the president that with a successful flag-off of the Kolmani oil project, his footprints will remain indelible in the sands of time. Describing the gigantic project as a milestone for the entire country, the governor expressed the belief that it will enhance the nation's socio-economic fortunes, create jobs and benefit everyone. He assured the president of community support for the venture, promising that along with Bauchi State, where the oil field is jointly situated, they will ensure its success.
The Kolmani Integrated Development Project is really by no means the turning point in the history of hydrocarbon exploration and exploitation in Nigeria, especially in the northern parts. That shows the commitment and focus of the President as well as to call on people to support and cooperate with the exploration companies and security agencies for the success of this project.
Governor Yahya also appreciated the president for the enhanced federal presence in the state, like the takeover of Gombe Airport by the federal government, siting of an Air Force base, and the establishment of a federal polytechnic, amongst other projects.
History will thank you, Your Excellency, for the efforts you made in transforming this country despite the hard times and taking Nigeria to this level. You have come, you saw, and you've conquered. Your name will be written in gold, Your Excellency. Any day, any time, the history of Nigeria is written.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who went down memory lane, said when he served as petroleum minister in the 70s, feasibility studies were carried out by government, believing it will further stabilize the polity.
We have to come down a bit southwards to go to Kolmani, further away from the terrorists and Boko Haram, to make sure that the prosperity and development is not severely interfered with.
He therefore told the Gombe delegation to congratulate themselves rather than him for the oil find, saying, however, that their visit is a moral booster. On the political situation in the country preceding the next general elections, the president said off-season elections in Anambra, Ekiti and Osun states have shown that the government respects Nigerians and will allow them to choose their own leaders without interference or manipulation. He also said, irrespective of what some people say, his administration made giant strides in stabilizing the security situation in the country, reviving and diversifying the economy and fighting corruption.
I'm just very grateful that Nigerians have begun to understand. I have been quite successful in my duty.
From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
In other news, President Muhammadu Buhari has reiterated once again that the 2023 general elections will be free, fair and credible, as manipulations will not be allowed in any form. The president gave the assurance while playing host to the West African Elders Forum pre-election mediation mission led by former Sierra Leonean President Dr. Ernest Koroma. He said the federal government would allow people to choose leaders they want in whatever party, saying no one will be allowed to use money and thugs to intimidate them. Former President Koroma, who led the team, said they had met with stakeholders across the parties, civil society and Independent National Electoral Commission, among others, and commended the president for making it clear, both locally and internationally, that the elections would be free and fair. He also appreciated President Buhari for not listening to voices that may have tried to convince him to seek a third term in office against the laws of the country, noting that other countries look up to Nigeria for direction. This is the Network News. Time for a break. Please stay.
The PNB Administration Scorecard Series will feature the Honorable Minister of Environment, Mr. Mohammed Hassan Abdullahi. Date, Wednesday, 7th December 2022. Time, 10 a.m. Venue, National Press Center, Radio House, Abuja. The event will be covered live by NTA, FRCN and VON, and streamed on the social media handles of the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture. Announcer, Mrs. Lydia Shehu Jafia, MLI, Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
We are committed to the unity of our great country, Nigeria.
Let us support our armed forces. Let us stand together with them. Let us stand for them.
Our symbol of unity,
The gallant men and women of the armed forces
on land, air, and sea.
go after furiously, put their life on the line, protecting our lives, humanity, and the nation.
Let us join them and stick together as one, irrespective of our misunderstanding, be it political, cultural, or ideological.
Our uniqueness is our oneness, our strength is our diversity.
Let us stand by, stand with, and support our armed forces to keep this nation together.
Nigeria is my own. Nigeria is your own. Nigeria is our own.
Looking fresh on your date? Get even fresher with Close Up. New Close Up Triple Fresh formula. It cleans deeply, fights 99% of bacteria, and cools intensely, keeping you protected and fresh. Still fresh, still protected. All day confidence to get close. New Close Up Triple Fresh formula.
A peak protein breakfast. Great day. How do I know? Because my daddy goes to his work feeling good and always with a smile. Mommy is always filled with confidence. My sister is always in tune. And for me, learning new things becomes absolutely fun. Because all day every day, you keep going.
Start your day. Keep protein breakfast. Rich for your people.
The Honorable Minister of Power, Engineer Abubakar D. Aliyu, FNSC, FNICE, and the Honorable Minister of State for Power cordially invite state governments, ministries, departments, and agencies, as well as relevant stakeholders to its 5th National Council on Power, NACOP 2022. Theme: Sustaining and improving electricity supply through the power sector value chain for socio-economic growth. Venue: Barcelona Hotel, number 23 Blantyre Street, Wuse 2, Abuja. Date: 5th to 8th December 2022. Time: 9 a.m. Technical session: 5th to 7th December 2022. Executive session: 8th December 2022. Memoranda with recommendations are therefore invited from state governments, various ministries, departments, and agencies, and other relevant stakeholders. Electronic copies of the memoranda should be forwarded to Ashotibo Lambert, Deputy Director, Planning, Research and Statistics, while hard copies should be forwarded to the Office of the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Power. All submissions should reach the above address on or before 4th December 2022. Announcer, Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Power.
My people, let me not Emeka, let me scammers, let me get all this people. I don't learn my lesson. Somebody come buy motor for my hand, carry big money, come give me. Now when they get bust, when my eye open, I know see that 419 will be. But when electricity bomb, now they come back me too. Now he make me, they warn you, all of them, I want to do business like me. When they carry big money, when I go, sometimes I go carry transfer, carry bring back. They could have shine in my eye because the special control unit against money laundering, when they call SCUMO, they don't want to say if the money pass 5 million naira for individual, no collect them. If it pass 10 million naira for company, no collect them. Can I go where? Bank. If you don't do one like that, 250,000 naira for every day where this offense happen. Or they go suspend your license, or they go shut them down. for your hand. You talk say I no want you.
This message is from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC.
Welcome back. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has pledged commitment to boosting Nigeria's economy if elected in a forthcoming general election. He said this during his campaign rally in Owerri, Imo State, where he also promised to pay attention to Nigeria's unity. Kate Osunwa has details.
The presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, who arrived at the Kaduna Sports Center Owerri alongside his running mate Baba Ahmed Dati and other party stalwarts, received by his supporters. The presidential candidate, in company of his wife, promises to reposition Nigeria through provision of quality education and improved healthcare delivery. He assures of total fight against corruption and adequate security for Nigerians.
It's time for Nigeria to belong to everybody. God has given you a sword that is ready to wash your flesh. A sword that is not to be by his people. All Nigerians.
All the youths have queued behind me. But when they locked up their shops today to welcome Peter Obi, that's to tell you that votes in Imo State will be for Peter Obi.
This visit also afforded the party opportunity to canvass support for all candidates of the Labour Party in Owerri. Kate Osunwa, NTA News.
And away from politics, the application of technology and innovation in the agricultural sector remains one of the answers to the concern over how Africa will feed its growing population, which stands at 1 billion people. This is the view of Vice President Yemish Bajo when he visited the Vietnam Academy of Agricultural Sciences in Vietnam, and he stresses the importance of collaboration between the two countries towards meeting global food targets. State House correspondent Dido Nifade reports.
Many low-hanging fruits, one can say, that are up for grabs in this visit of the Vice President to Vietnam. One of these is the opportunity for cooperation in agricultural science and technology between Nigeria and Vietnam. The visit to this Vietnam Academy of Agricultural Sciences by Vice President Yemish Bajo is observed as a commitment by the federal government to the scientific research and technology application for agricultural development.
Targets that we want to to become net exporters of some of our products. I think the Vietnam has demonstrated that in what the economy can still be one of the major exporters of agricultural products.
Another is the visit to the Food Processing Technology University, also known for its high capacity in software development. The two found a melting point in which to collaborate, with Nigeria eager to develop its science and technology, meeting an investor willing to expand its services to African countries, and in particular Nigeria.
A country like Nigeria can make something similarly happen.
So I certainly look forward to this visit and look to be sure that the government of Nigeria will be very happy to work with you.
The Vice President also had discussions with the Vietnamese Prime Minister on areas of mutual interest and on how to further strengthen the bilateral relation which started way back in 1976. The Vice President was later treated to a state banquet with many high-ranking officials and businessmen and women in attendance.
I will look forward in the next months and years for even greater cooperation and greater high-level visits between our countries.
In Hanoi, Vietnam, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
And back home, Nigeria is catering to the United Nations Agricultural Development Program, tagged hand-in-hand initiative. Musa Babali reports that in line with this, an interministerial committee made up of representatives of the Ministers of Agriculture, Water Resources, Environment and Humanitarian and Social Development has been inaugurated.
Hand-in-Hand initiative is a strategy created by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, to eradicate hunger and poverty by accelerating agricultural transformation and sustainable development. This is the FAO country representative briefing the members of the Interministerial Committee on the implementation of the program in Nigeria.
In other words, that we have two tracks, one that would look at the developmental economic aspects, in which case interventions and investments and policies that support value chain development, that would support agro-processing in particular regions where there's high potential for those. And then the second track would look at the humanitarian, social development issues that are key in different contexts.
The four key ministries believe that Nigeria is accepting the program with a view to supporting agricultural transformation and rural development while building the resilience of vulnerable population.
The NSC will provide overall political leadership, strategic direction and guidance for the implementation of an initiative in Nigeria in line with the national priorities.
My ministry's desire and commitment to continue to provide a conducive atmosphere for the hand-in-hand initiative, and will be fully committed to this membership of the National Steering Committee on the implementation of the hand-in-hand initiative in Nigeria.
We must find a way to expand more land for irrigation without investing too much capital, and that's why using groundwater and taking along with micro irrigation is something that we must do.
We give you assurances and to Mr. President that we are in sync with this initiative and hope that we achieve results as quickly as possible.
To this end, government at both the national and state level will work with the UN agency for the successful implementation of the program in Nigeria. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
We head to the National Assembly now, where Senate has passed the National Social Investment Program Establishment Bill for second reading. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports that the bill also seeks to establish the National Social Investment Program Agency.
The National Social Investment Program, initiated in 2015 by President Muhammadu Buhari, has been Nigeria's fulcrum for poverty alleviation in the last 7 years. In order to ensure the sustainability of the program and give it legal backing, President Muhammadu Buhari sent in a bill to the Senate for consideration. Less than 2 weeks, the proposed law has passed second reading.
1 million youths have been empowered through the Empower program, and the additional 500,000 are undergoing various training.
By people could be monitored, and whatever was given to them could also be monitored.
This particular bill attempts to cushion what people are going through.
Now, we are pleased that it has come as an executive bill for us to establish a system, through which, a proper implementation, can take place.
I believe that this is an effort by the administration to ensure that there is a legacy for this program, and also a legacy that can make the program more transparent.
Senators observed that the absence of an institutionalized process is a challenge for the program at the moment. Also passed for second reading are the Produce Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill, sponsored by Senator Ibrahim Gobir, and the Federal Inland Revenue Service Act Amendment Bill, sponsored by Senator Yahaya Abdullahi.
A bill for an act to amend the Federal Inland Revenue Act 2007 to provide for single agency administration of corporate tax holidays, import duty waivers, and investment incentives, and for other matters connected there to 2022 second reading taken.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has written to Senate seeking the confirmation of Aisha Ahmad and Edward Adamu as deputy governors of the Central Bank of Nigeria for a second and final term, and Ayuba Mbako as member representing FCT at the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission.
Federal Capital Territory Administration, FCT, 2023 statutory budget proposal is hereby sent to us by Mr. President.
From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo.
And in the Green Chambers, the federal government has been urged to continue the implementation of the East-West Coastal Rail Line project as approved by the Federal Executive Council in 2021. National Assembly correspondent Lamiale reports that the call was in response to a motion from Representative Dozie Nwakwo on the project, the contract of which was awarded at a cost of $11.1 billion.
Representative Dozie Nwakwo told House members that the 1,400-kilometer-long standard gauge rail line has a 6-year completion period, but that the Federal Ministry of Transportation stopped work on the project this year.
Inability to complete the project within the projected 6 years period will continue to put pressure on the two seaports located in Port Harcourt and Lagos and the existing roads.
House members noted the socio-economic importance of the project, which will link several states and cities across the southern parts of the country by rail. Other features at plenary include the approval of 559 billion naira statutory budget for the Nigerian Communications Commission for 2023. The House passed for second reading bill to amend Child Rights Act by introducing the imposition of sanctions on any parent that abandons a newborn child or absconds after birth.
And upon conviction, be liable to fine of 200,000 naira or imprisonment for 6 months or to both. People abandoned on the streets, and so it's seeking for punishment.
11 bills were read the third time and passed, among them bills to establish Federal Medical Center Abuja, Federal Medical Center Okigwe, and Federal College of Nursing and Midwifery Chibok. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Elsewhere, the federal government has constituted a special panel to unravel individuals or groups of persons behind oil theft in the country. The National Security Advisor, Babagana Moganu, while inaugurating the investigative panel, stressed that no individual, group, or agency will be spared.
Those people serving or retired who have had any connection, who the government has actually reposed confidence in to protect our national assets, who have this perception that being ensconced in the bowels of the state by virtue of their emplacement can escape the long arm of the law. We must fish them out.
Terms of reference of the panel include to ascertain the circumstances surrounding the illegal insertion into Escrabo's pipeline and examine the Bureau's regulatory agency, security and international oil companies aiding the criminal expertise. Major General Barry Njoman is the chairman of the panel bid to submit its report on or before the 21st of February 2022. Efforts of the federal government to deepen local content in the oil and gas sector is yielding results as more indigenous exploration and production companies emerge in the sector. Addressing key industry players at the 11th Practical Nigerian Content Forum, Executive Secretary, Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, Simbi Wambote, says the Nigerian content level has moved to 54% in 2022. Clement Barakuyu reports.
Nigeria, no doubt, has the largest gas reserves in Africa and is ranked the 6th in the world. This underscores the need to leverage on these huge gas reserves to make the country not just a major exporter, but a major gas consuming nation. Achieving this in line with the 10-year roadmap of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board necessitated this 11th Practical Forum, where key industry players admitted that the Nigerian content is working to meet up with the rising global demand for cleaner energy sources.
We will have robust gas supply infrastructure, enough to keep our needs, meet our needs in the next 2 to 3 years as we continue to build more and more and bigger infrastructure.
We need the collective strength of government and the industry working together and removing bottlenecks constraining development of our gas resources.
The need to create more opportunities for indigenous players in the Nigerian oil and gas sector is both compelling and imperative.
We have seen the emergence of indigenous companies with capacity to operate in various sectors of the petroleum industry.
5 years into the roadmap, Nigerian content level in the Nigerian oil and gas industry is 54%, and the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board is highlighting the need to deliver a minimum of 11% year-on-year growth rate for the country to achieve the 70% Nigerian content target by 2027.
The top 3 performers of in-country spend in 2022 are fabrication and construction at 99%, Nigerian content, manpower at 81%, and project management at 80% Nigerian content.
Today, there are 15 oil and gas companies currently operating in this state.
What strategies will the federal government employ to encourage non-associated gas production? How attractive is non-associated gas production under the provision of the Petroleum Industry Act? And what provision has been made to significantly increase gas pipeline infrastructure were some questions that dominated the panel's discussions. In Uyo, Clement Barikui, NTA News.
And we head to Borno State now, where Governor Babagana Umar Zulum says the government will continue to partner the federal government in fashioning out various humanitarian interventions that will mitigate social vulnerabilities of youth and children. The governor made a remark at the closing of the 3 weeks training for 930 youth facilitators of the At-Risk Children Project, a program under the Office of the Vice President. Yagumsu Booker reports.
Risk Children Project is an initiative of the Buhari administration through the Office of the Vice President with the aim of finding solutions to prolonged vulnerabilities of children who lack social protection and luxury of formal education. Borno State Governor, represented by his Deputy Umar Usman Kadafur, appreciated the federal government for the implementation of the project, describing the training as act. Considering the prevailing socio-economic and political challenges, charged facilitators to replicate the knowledge and mentor the children.
Let me therefore use this medium to express my profound gratitude to Mr. President for giving Borno State the chance to be part of the ACP in the country.
National Coordinator ACP, Dr. Mariam Uwais said implementation of the project became necessary considering figures from the National Bureau of Statistics that over 20 million people are vulnerable globally, with Borno having about 1.8. Hence, charged the facilitators to be committed to the project.
We need to put a system in place to be able to address this thing on a more permanent basis. When we get feedback from these youths, we'll be able to address the problems in a more strategic manner.
We have hope and confidence with our youth facilitators that they're up to the task and they will deliver what is expected of them.
With the implementation of this federal government's project in Borno, over 40,000 children are expected to be taken off the streets. In Maiduguri, Yagum Subukar, NTA News.
And from Borno, we head to Kano, where establishment of sexual assaults rehabilitation centers and psychosocial services for support of victims of gender-based violence are key curative remedies that give hope to the victims. This forms part of discussions at a 3-day workshop organized by Development Research and Project Center with the support of Ford Foundation for Hisba officials across northwestern states. Yahanasu Hassan has details.
Northwestern states, according to findings by the National Bureau of Statistics, are ranked highest on the index of gender-based violence. Concerned by these dehumanizing revelations, the Development Research Project and Ford Foundation initiated this 3-day sensitization workshop for Hisba officials across the northwestern states on the Islamic perspective for the protection of children and women's rights. Umar, a Hisbah official, had traveled hundreds of kilometers from Zamfara state to be equipped with first-hand information on proactive roles the Hisbah can play in preventing cases of assault and violent attacks children and women have been facing on a recurring basis.
Will assist us in our state to have an awareness.
The Hisbah as a commission that have a particular role stated by most of the states and have been gazetted and accepted to serve as the second police in those states, have a big role to play, particularly in the prevention of girl-child violence.
Getting somewhere, people are accepting to talk about it.
Various Sharia penal laws, as it operates in some parts of northern states, have also serious provisions contained to deal with violence. But the challenge we have is the implementation of these laws.
The Prophet ﷺ is treating his family, starting with the wives and then the children. If we can emulate him, we the Muslims today, and do it the way he did, there shall be no gender-based or domestic-based violence.
The Train the Trainer program is therefore planned to be stepped down to field officials who, after the 16 days activism, will uphold and expand the crusade with a view to ending all forms of gender-based violence. In Kano, Yahan.
And from Kano, we head to Lagos, where Adiola is standing by to feed us with the latest from that zone. Adiola, it's over to you.
Nigeria is still regarded as the e-waste capital of Africa, with Lagos at the center of it all. As part of ongoing efforts to address the trend, the federal government is adopting strategies that will ensure all sectors of the economy fall in line with relevant national environmental regulations on proper disposal and management of e-waste. Jennifer Igwe reports.
Technological development is birthing new innovation rapidly, resulting in more generation of electrical and electronic devices, including used batteries.
Approximately 110,000 tons of used lead-acid batteries are generated in Nigeria annually from the automotive and renewable energy sectors.
To ensure proper disposal, recycling and environmentally sound management of e-waste in Nigeria, federal government is adopting the Extended Producers Responsibility Program and Circular Economy. To ensure all sectors are involved, sensitization and interactive meetings are ongoing.
So in line with the provisions of the National Environmental Regulations, all existing facilities are mandated to conduct environmental audit every 3 years, either the industries, production industries, and the banking sectors.
Over 25 e-waste collection centers exist in Lagos under the Extended Producers Responsibility Program. The state is the pilot for the initiative, which is expected to be replicated in all parts of the country. In Lagos, Jennifer Igwe, NTA News.
The aspiration of women, either as individuals or a group, to become functional members of the society who contributes to societal growth can only be realized in an atmosphere where they feel safe and protected. The need to ensure this is the overriding message of an awareness work against sexual and gender-based violence tagged No Tolerance March, organized by Women at Risk Foundation with the support of the U.S. Consulate in Lagos. Adeneye Taiwo reports.
The walk, which took off from Ikoyi Link Bridge to Lekki and its environs, is more than mere physical movement of a people, but rather a movement behind the cause to keep the spotlight on gender violence. This inscription says it all, echoing the desire of these advocates to see a world where women are made safer from sexual predators and perpetrators of other crimes against them.
We adopt health, educational and community service programs. We run a free rape clinic in Yaba where we welcome all survivors.
We are trying to create awareness by letting everybody know that it's time to stop violence against women, and we have to be very vocal and not keep quiet about these issues.
As young people, we are choosing to raise our voices against this menace. And you know, the beautiful thing about it is it doesn't take one person, it takes all of us to work together, because you see, everybody knows a woman, everybody knows a girl. Whether it's your colleague, your wife, you know somebody that's a woman.
The main message, according to some of the organizers, is not just to tear off the shroud of secrecy, which often cover cases of sexual violence against women, and encourage a new culture of blowing the lid of such acts, but also to let women know that they can aspire to any noble heights.
Most importantly, we teach our boys, not just the men, our boys who are becoming men tomorrow, on how to respect, protect, and support women. And that's
supported by the U.S. Consulate in Lagos. The work is part of 16 days of activism, which began on November 25, all aimed at building needed solidarity against the scourge of sexual and gender-based violence. In Lagos, Adeni Itewo, NTA News.
And that wraps our contribution from Lagos. So remember that you can still follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media platforms displayed on the screen for updates. The news will continue after this time out. Stay.
Feliz Navidad.
Glow wishes you a Merry Christmas.
In my family, everybody wants more.
Mom, knowledge!
I just want more of anything that is good for my family. That is why I use Tasty Tom Enriched Tomato Mix. It's thick and gives my meals an appealing red color. It helps me cook delicious meals. And what's more, it's enriched with vitamins and fiber that are good for the body. What more could a mother want?
Please give me more.
Mommy, I want
It's time you try Tasty Tom Enriched Tomato Mix because it's enriched with vitamins and fiber. Tasty Tom, for tasty meals good for you. Available in convenient sachets that are easy to open and easy to store.
This is the moment we've been waiting. It's time to rise up, do it again. Africa, do your dance now. God, do your winning dance now. So we never lose it again. We gon' rise up, yes, we gon' rise up, we gon' rise up. We gon' rise up, yes, we gon' rise up, we gon' rise up.
To every politician, as the campaigns gain momentum and passions begin to rise, remember, the errors of your opponents do not make you a success. Do not run down your opponent and inflame passions to violence between and among your supporters. What counts is what you plan to do for the electorate and how you intend to relieve the sufferings and bring succor. Nigeria is in dire need of patriotic leaders at all levels, leaders who will make national development their priority. Concentrate on telling the electorate what you intend to do when you get into office. Focus on making your vision clear to the electorate. Don't engage in verbal abuses, fake news or speeches. Keep dealing with issues that will bring progress. You win the hearts and minds of the people by being above board, by being civil, patriotic and showing empathy. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. A message from the National Orientation Agency.
Welcome back. The Court of Appeal sitting in Owerri has notified the candidacy of Emeka Atuma of the All Progressives Congress, APC, for Abia Central Senatorial election. In a unanimous judgment, the three-man panel of justices led by Justice Rita Pemu ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to recognize Sam Onuigbo as the winner and authentic candidate of the APC. Granting the praise of Onuigbo, the appellate court upheld the legality of the party primary held on May 28, 2022, which produced Onuigbo, who scored the highest number of votes. And away from the courtroom, global market space is already going digital, and there is no way it can be fully explored without keying into the current trend. This is why the NTA Marketing Directorate is engaging officers across the states for Capacity Development Conference in Abuja. Charles Alpha reports.
On any other day, these marketing officers would be out there canvassing for adverts and sponsorship. But there comes a time when sales performance has to be reviewed and commendation required to encourage individuals. The world of marketing is moving thick and fast and requires the latest skills and knowledge to catch up.
With what we are going to learn here for the next 3 days, it's going to help us to improve, to make more money for NTA.
NTA Marketing Directorate cannot afford to be left behind and have assembled marketing managers, their assistants, as well as other officers to upscale their ideas on new digital marketing skills.
This is an essential platform which gives us the opportunity to candidly assess our performance, looking at where we are coming from, where we are, and where we would want to be.
Director General of NTA, Saliu Abdulhamid Dembos, acknowledged the importance of Marketing Directorate to any organization, saying more success can be achieved through synergy in the face of stiff competition.
For now, we have so much enjoyed competitive advantage through monopoly. This monopoly has been broken today, but I'm very, very passionate and before the management, and we truly believe that it is wrong. All we need to do is the will to do it.
The Marketing Directorate can now look back and boast of so many achievements it has recorded and expects to deliver more after necessary ideas have been infused in these participants. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
And yes, Benny is here for more business stories. Benny, it's over to you.
Thank you, Eri, and welcome to Business. Start by telling you that a coalition of civil society advocates have the view that increased participation by youth in the nation's agricultural value chain through public-private partnership is one of the sure ways of attaining the nation's diversification drive.
Based on this MPI report, there's 132 million people now in Nigeria that are poor.
Nigerian government to see how they can strengthen the diversification of the Nigerian economy in terms of deepening diversification, not at this minimal level that it is at the moment.
Taking a look at the markets, Nigeria's equities appreciated by 0.20% at the end of today's trading session. A total of 184.6 million shares in 3,189 deals, corresponding to a market value of 3.571 billion naira, were traded. Compared with the previous trading day, today's data shows 38% improvement in turnover, but 9% decline in deals. The current market capitalization is 26.3 trillion naira. FBN Holdings recorded the highest volume of 66.1 million traded shares, followed by Transcorp Nigeria 36.6 million, Geregu Power 17.5 million, and Access Holdings 7.35 million shares. That is Business News. Network News continues after this break.
In a third final in 20 years.
This out of his votes, now you can get a GoTV decoder, GoTV, and 1 month of GoTV Jolly for only 4,900 naira and enjoy all the show-stopping games live from Qatar on GoTV.
Let's have a bit on sports.
The only surviving African representative at the ongoing World Cup in Qatar, Morocco picked one of the last tickets to the quarterfinals of the championship Tuesday night after defeating former world champions Spain 3-0 via penalties to qualify for the quarterfinal stage for the first time in its history. It was goalless during regulation time. And from the home front, Shooting Stars of Ibadan returned to winning ways Tuesday evening in Ikenne with a 3-0 win over Insurance Football Club of Benin in one of the match day 1 of the NPFL Super 4. In another news, with 4 days to the end of the 2022 National Sport Festival in Asaba Delta State, Commissioner for Information Charles Aniago, in an exclusive interview with NTA, says the festival is living up to the expectations of the organizers. He commended the athletes for the spirit of sportsmanship displayed so far during the games, adding that the MOC is poised to ensure that the athletes are comfortable during their stay in Asaba.
For new talents to emerge, for new records to emerge as well, and then for old records to be shattered. And that already we are seeing, which means the game is living up to its billing. And one important thing too is that the unity and the bond that now exists among the different athletes, irrespective of their state, is very, very exciting to us.
Also, Paul Omukago reports that wrestling, with over 90 medals to be competed for, is underway among other sports. In hockey, Team Delta is on course for podium finish after beating Team Katsina 2-0 Tuesday afternoon to qualify for the semi-final of the male event. Same for Team Lagos that defeated Team Bayelsa via a long goal. With sports update, Olumide Guntola, NTA News.
The families of Kukumene Abite, Igbekigri Kyo and Mande Tobomie of River State have released details of the funeral arrangement of their daughter, sister, mother, grandmother and great-grandmother, late Mrs. Tamunomi Tie Abite Tombo Mie, aged 85. The funeral arrangement signed by Adokie Tombo Mie on behalf of the families indicates that there will be a service of songs at EUI Center, Port Harcourt, Plot F11, Sania Bata Road, GRA, Phase 3 on Wednesday, 7th December 2022 at 5 p.m, while on Friday, 9th December 2022, Brother Lives Port Harcourt to Bile Kingdom at 9 a.m. Funeral service will be on Saturday, December 10, 2022 by 11 a.m. at St. Silas Pro Cathedral, Bile Kingdom. And that's NTA Network News tonight. Many thanks for watching. Please remember, rape is a crime. You donate for. Good night.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
Beyond prayers, if we want a stable society before, during, and after the elections, what should you be saying to those that worship with you? All Sundays and all Fridays, you are saddled with the responsibility of bringing up good generations. It is therefore your duty to both man and God to ensure peace all the time, no matter about elections alone. People talk to people and people listen. Talk to your followers. Make them listen to ensure peaceful 2023 elections. This message from the National Orientation Agency. The general public is hereby invited to a book launch titled Rape Challenges in Nigeria. Special guest of honor, His Excellency Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, GCON, Wazirin Adamawa. Chief launcher, Her Excellency Hajia Amina Titi Atiku Abubakar. Father of the day, His Excellency Dr. Senator Ifeanyi Okowa. Mother of the day, Her Excellency Hajia Dr. Maria Aminu Waziri Tambowal. Guest of honor, Her Excellency Edith Okowa. Chairman of the occasion, Dr. Jamilu Isiaku Gomna. Royal guests of honor, His Royal Highness Khalifa Muhammad Sanusi II, Khalifa Tijaniya, and Prince Engineer Arthur Eze, Ozoibondu of Igbo Land. Guests of honor, Her Excellency Dr. Aisha Bala Mohammed. Chief host, Her Excellency Mrs. Betsy Obaseki. Date Thursday, 8th December 2022. Time 10 a.m. prompt. Venue Aso Hall, International Conference Center, Abuja. For details, call 0808-996-4060. Usman Alhaji Lawan, MNUNS. Book author, announcer.
Today, we are here to tell you that while we may not be there yet, our military and other security agencies have succeeded and are succeeding in substantially restoring security across the nation. As far as the daunting security challenges we face are concerned, we can tell you that the worst is over. And never again will terrorists and bandits and their cohorts hold sway in our country.
This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
These days, jerry cans with fuel are a common sight in major cities of Nigeria. As terrible and risky as it is, market forces indirectly promote the business if we are to go by the saying that where there is no demand, there will be no supply. We must, however, continue to question legality, safety, and why such practices persist. Some blame the frustration of queuing for hours to get fuel and inadequacy of the product at designated fuel stations for turning to roadside vendors, not minding the risk to their lives and their engines. On this edition of the program, the associated challenges with the supply and distribution of premium motor spirit, as well as subsidy, is our focus. I am Motola Mojola. He promises to be revealing. Any essential product such as petrol requires proper monitoring, particularly in distribution, to make it available and accessible to consumers. Adeola Kami Akere in Lagos seeks answers to the distribution process and the seemingly unending scarcity in the metropolis.
Petroleum products are moved from one point to the other, either through the road, rail, vessel, or pipeline networks, with the method of conveyance dependent on the volume to be transported. This method of movement of the premium motor spirit petrol is largely believed to be the cause of scarcity whenever the end users find it difficult to purchase the product for consumption.
What is all this rubbish? All this thing is rubbish. Now what's all this thing?
It is from one complaint to the other. For over 2 weeks now, Lagosians have been groaning under the hardship the scarcity is costing their pockets.
I've not been able to do anything. I've been here since 6 o'clock today. It's time now. This past 1.
We just hear different news all over everywhere, but we don't know the reason why. We don't know the actual why they are doing it, making it so scarce, and it's too much. It's too much.
For the past few weeks, scarcity of the commodity has generated endless queues at filling stations across Lagos, with black markets offering limited options for those who could not stand the long wait where the products were sold at the regulated pump price. Vehicle owners are not only paying higher, but helplessly subjected to sharp practices allegedly perpetrated by marketers.
If you want to buy for cake, they collect money. But the car, they don't collect money to sell. If you enter, you just struggle to enter, you buy fuel.
By the fuel, they still collect money for us before they sell us the fuel. It's only this way that they are not collecting money for we, they are with driver. They are not collecting money. Others, they will collect money from us before they will sell us the fuel. And they are selling the fuel at the rate of 250 per litre.
Now, I can see me, I'm traveling. And yet now, I've been waiting for bus more than like hours. So at this moment, I think that the price is even high, even to see bus, another thing entirely. When fuel increase, it comes to other markets.
While discussions continue to center on fuel scarcity, there are lots of questions begging for answers, especially on the remote cause of the scarcity. But stakeholders say the problem might arise from the channel of distribution.
Whatever game, whatever scheme that the marketer may decide to do or may get involved with can only succeed if the regulator goes to sleep, chooses not to do what it's supposed to do, or is an active collaborator in that particular game. Subsidy, let me say this, it's not by itself a bad thing if properly targeted and implemented.
Efforts to get reactions from marketers were unsuccessful as they denied comments. For Dateline 360, Adeola Komiakere.
From Lagos, we go to Katsina, where Awal Haliru reports that residents lament the variation in the pump price of premium motor spirits, which he says is taking a toll on the prices of essential commodities and other spheres of social activities.
Long queues are gradually resurfacing within Katsina metropolis and major towns across the state capital. Though there is availability of the product within the state, however, for motorists to get fuel at filling stations selling at official price of 185 naira per litre, they have to join queues at the early hours of the day.
I met many motors here when I came here this morning. So up till now, I've not got the fuel.
I was here since 4 o'clock, and up to now I did not get the fuel because people are struggling to come in.
On the other hand, filling stations selling above the official rates of between 250 and 270 naira get patronage from consumers to avoid spending hours on the queues. Residents of Katsina therefore allege sharp practice by operators as one of the factors escalating the situation, as black marketers are having a field day.
Single car used to buy 400 liters. That is 90,000. A single car.
As one of its effects, the lingering fuel situation continued to undermine business activities and bite harder in other aspects of social life.
The increase in the price of PMS in Katsina and environs is affecting the society generally, as it is taking tolls on the price of essential commodities in the markets.
To plan to get like 60 before, now you cannot be able to get that 60. You can end up buying like 3 or 4 tiers, so it's affecting us.
The transport was not up to 4,000 naira, but now they haven't paid for 5. Which is not good, it's not normal.
Another factor that is contributing to the increase of pump price in Katsina is smuggling activities through the border areas.
The smuggling of petroleum products in this axis is a menace.
Katsina State Area Command of the Nigeria Customs Service had from February to November this year recorded 1,373 cases of smuggling 30,325 liters of petrol.
Smuggling activities is really our main problem, and we will not relent, I'm telling you, until we bring it to the barest minimum level. And we are there for them. We are on daily basis, we are changing our strategy, and we are getting them.
These acts of economic sabotage considered to be among the leading factors of high cost of fuel in the state, and the residents are appealing to community leaders to complement the effort of government in finding a lasting solution. However, the Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Agency is promising to continue to monitor the fuel situation to ensuring that there is no hoarding of the product.
We went around the filling stations and then to confirm those products that were released from the depot yesterday according to the manifest available to us.
The residents appeal to the stakeholders across board and the federal government for swift intervention. In Katsina, Awal Halaru for Deadline 360.
And from Aba comes the report that though fuel is available, the price is also high. This increase affects every other sector of the economy, especially manufacturing and production of goods, for which the commercial city is known. Grace Nana reports.
The pump price of premium motor spirit in Aba varies from 230 to 260 naira per litre, but major marketers sell at a reduced price.
You can see this one, these people are selling at 230 naira, and that is not bad. As they say that they are selling them, because other ones are selling 240, 250. I bought a friend from Asaba. He said that they are selling their 300 naira. So when you talk about the government will tell you that they do not have 1 naira. No product.
There is fuel, but the price is higher. Before I used to fill my tank with around something, but now I fill my tank with 18,000 plus.
Since the product is available, the activities of black marketers have reduced. Lamenting the high price of the product, residents said intercity transport fares have gone up.
Like I just chartered this car to check months. The charge is more. It's not what it's supposed to be actually. The guy charged me and he made mention of fuel as the reason why he's giving me that kind of charge.
Both the drivers and the passengers, we are fighting on daily basis because we are trying to increase it, and then the passengers are also complaining that they don't have money to pay.
Prices of commodities and services are not left out, as they keep rising on a daily basis, especially now that the Utah season is around the corner.
I want to travel to one place in Aba. The goods you bought very cheap, but because of transport fare, things are changing.
The increase in pump price of the product is mostly affecting transportation and price of goods and services, especially for accidents who need the product to fuel their generating states. In Aba, who is Inando for Deadline 360?
That their educational deprivation is not the end of the world.
Agencies and stakeholders to proactively tackle these challenges.
Women in most countries of the world constitute about 50% of registered voters.
Williams, reporting for Deadline 360.
In Jos, Caleb Gochin, Deadline 360.
Naja Atitijani.
Deadline 360. Chidi Okrafo.
For Deadline 360.
In Lagos, Michael Olaleye.
Reporting for Deadline 360.
I am Omosola Omojola. Thanks for tuning in. So much about availability and pricing. But then, industry experts and global players believe that petrol subsidy removal could be the answer. However, the realities of global inflation and economic hardship place government and citizens at a crossroad on subsidy removal, even as experts say postponing the inevitable is no longer sustainable. What buffers can quickly be provided to mitigate the impact of the resultant increase of fuel price? Oil and gas correspondent Lydia Sampson provides more insight on Nigeria's subsidy journey and dilemma.
Fuel subsidies in Nigeria are enormous. At last estimate, Nigeria subsidized petroleum to the tune of $3.9 billion. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed says government can no longer pay the $250 billion monthly subsidy. Experts say subsidies exist because the government fixes the price of petrol for consumers below the international price and uses government resources to pay the difference. It was first introduced in Nigeria in the 1970s as a response to the oil price shock in 1973, and despite numerous attempts at reform as well as calls for subsidy removal, Nigeria is yet to successfully comply, due in large part to strong popular opposition from labor groups and associations. Some opine that such subsidies come at a great cost, as the alleged spending on other developmental objectives is lower, while the vast majority of the subsidy goes to better the lives of Nigerians who own many cars. Despite this, more than 50% of Nigerians reportedly oppose the removal of subsidies. A result of government increased spending on subsidy is an artificial holding down of fuel price, which in turn makes Nigeria the West African country with the lowest fuel price despite increase in global oil prices. With petrol allegedly being constantly smuggled out of the country to neighboring countries such as the Republic of Benin, Cameroon and Niger by the rich, the powerful and small-time smugglers, it literally means Nigeria is indirectly subsidizing part of the fuel consumed in those countries due to large margin of price differentials.
We have a plan that in the next few years, 5 years, we have a plan to take local content, local participation in Nigeria to about 70%. And to also facilitate that, we are building what we call the no-gap packs. Those packs are to be able to encourage Nigerian entrepreneurs to begin to produce parts in country for the oil industry.
But ultimately, the ordinary man, the poor man in the country who is not shielded from these effects is the ultimate beneficiary, because today, whatever name you call it, exploitation or any name that we put in it, it simply means that this country is subsidizing the elites, not the ordinary people. The ordinary people are the victims, and this has to stop. And this is a decision of all of us that the worst thing to do is to transfer these benefits to the ordinary people.
The last administration of President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan tried to remove subsidy, but was strongly resisted by labor unions who virtually shut down the country. Ironically, the World Bank and global experts say Nigeria is only postponing the inevitable.
This is a time we should not blame anybody, rather bring your idea. What do you think that will move the country forward? Bring it.
So there is need for government to put so many measures and ensure that is done. Similarly, the roads, from Bida, Lapai, Lambata is also terribly bad. Also from Opela, Epoma, around all these local areas, the road is terribly bad. But by and large, we are grateful to God and we are grateful to the government for the progress they have made.
And don't forget, Nigeria imports many goods, not just fuel. So all the imports that Nigeria do are actually susceptible to disruption. Yeah, and it is about making sure, and the disruption can be anything. Make sure the vessel comes on time. In the case of fuel, making sure that the vessel that then brings it onshore is on time and is always available. Then making sure there's no congestion on the roads and that the loading goes seamless and that the roads are actually helping us to bring the product as quickly as possible to its final destination.
Well, I'm sure it will soon be a thing of the past because everybody is working, all hands are on deck to ensure that all these issues are resolved.
Let them service these IPMAN stations, or like I said, they should designate some depot where IPMAN members, as others marketers are going to get. Let IPMAN members to get and supply their member at a government approved price, not by going to racketeers, these third parties, is uncalled for.
The fear from some motorists is that subsidy removal will have a ripple effect on increase in transportation, foodstuff, general services and livelihood. Some, on the other hand, say if subsidy removal will once and for all put to end petrol queues in the country, then so be it. For now, the complexity of supply chains and the global vulnerability of the oil and gas industry, further compounded with logistics challenges in the country, is making it difficult to navigate seamless product supply across the country. Similarly, the global supply chain is no longer robust and countries around the globe are having various challenges, Nigeria inclusive. Determined to tackle the issue, government had earlier planned to remove fuel subsidy by July this year. This was later shelved with the excuse that the timing was not right. Ironically, the timing of the planned removal of petrol subsidy remains problematic. For now, though, experts believe the gains of subsidy removal outweighs continuing subsidy. Getting the buy-in of all stakeholders, key players say, will help change the narrative and bring an end to the subsidy dilemma that is draining Nigeria's scarce resources. Lydia Sampson for Deadline 360.
Very informative, you will agree. Thanks, Lydia. Moving on. Nigeria is the largest producer of crude oil in Africa, yet we import the refined products for consumption. This many have attributed as a problem in product pricing and distribution. From the angle of having functional refineries, Joy Uzo brings us more information about the sector.
The nation's oil and gas sector can be said to have greatly advanced decades after oil was first discovered in commercial quantity in Oloibiri, then Rivers, but present-day Bayelsa State in 1956. This is owing to remarkable developments in the upstream and downstream sector, which has seen Nigeria not only churning out millions of barrels of crude per day, especially in the heydays of oil boom. This was when crude was locally refined to meet local demand. Stakeholders say the industry, though still largely viable, is not as appealing now in terms of expected output due to crude oil theft and non-functioning of the nation's refineries. An assessment of the current volume of less than 2 million barrels per day can be described as one of the challenges the sector is grappling with.
What we are doing now is about 1 million barrels per day. But it's not that we cannot do more than that. But because of vandalization, food theft, and so many other things, so we are not able to produce into certain pipeline so that it is not just a waste. We don't want to produce and the product will be stolen by people.
With the recent contract entered with a private company owned by Tompolo, we believe that the activities will up. I will not say the crude oil is our challenge because we are not refining the crude oil here. It could only be challenged when we are refining the crude oil here.
Players like the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN Port Harcourt, also observed that in addition to
capacities in Nigeria today, if it was functioning, there will be more availability of these products
where marketers can easily access this product and at the government regulated prices. But the reverse is the case.
Some parts they are available, some parts they are not at all. Let the refinery work. We are our own problems.
It's available. Any filling station can sell, but you buy it costly. 240, 230, some place 250.
Hopes are high that if the assurances by the federal government that the Port Harcourt refinery will begin full operations soon becomes a reality, then some challenges associated with the supply and distribution of petroleum products across the country would have been addressed. In Port Harcourt, Joy Uzo reporting for Dateline 360.
That's Dateline 360 for today. I am Omotola Omojola, and on behalf of the production crew, I say thank you very much for your time. God bless Nigeria.
Hello and welcome. This is NTA Tuesday Live and I'm Cyril Stover. Now, within the past weeks, attacks were carried out on the Independent National Electoral Commission's local government facilities in different parts of the country by yet to be identified hoodlums. Now, these seemingly well-calculated attacks resulted in loss of critical electoral materials needed for next year's election. And in these arson, several buildings and thousands of uncollected permanent voter cards and other materials were burnt. Now, despite the serial attacks, the Commission has maintained a brave face, promising Nigerians that this will not deter it from conducting free, fair and credible polls in 2023. Tonight, NTA Tuesday Live will examine the level of damage to some of these infrastructure and critical materials, the ways of redeeming the available incidents, especially as the 2023 election inches closer.
Sound of destruction, a sound that confirms INEC's efforts to a smooth 2023 general elections. For the security agencies, this is a bad signal.
This is a bad signal.
And the signal is still bad. Close to 50 attacks from 2019 to 2022. As the lamentations are ongoing, the destruction also goes unabated. A walk to an attacked INEC office in Ogun State. From the rubbles, the INEC chairman picks up the remnants of the permanent voters' cards, visibly angered, but still confident.
Will not be deterred, will not be cowed by act of arson by undemocratic and retrogressive elements.
A statement of assurance made on the 29th of November 2022 in Ogun State, and on the 1st of December, another attack on INEC facility in Imo State. Meeting of security agencies solely to discuss the endless attacks. INEC not at peace.
The Commission is worried that if no urgent and decisive steps are taken, the attacks will intensify as we approach the election date.
I'm appealing to other security agents that we may require their also assistance in coming to collaborate and synergize with us in protecting all INEC offices and any other critical infrastructure.
Desperate times require desperate measures.
People who hold the strings, who control these groups that have a proclivity for unleashing violence, those people who have gangsters working for them, I want to send a very, very clear warning, a categorical, unequivocal warning to each and every one, regardless of whichever party, including the party of the president. For as long as you decide to scuttle the electoral process, the law enforcement agencies will equally be uninhibited in reacting to whatever actions you have taken. You will be visited with appropriate, with commensurate response. I want to assure you, and I'm saying this with all sincerity.
Permanent voters' cards and other electoral materials destroyed. Everything will be replaced before the elections, the INEC chairman promised. But this, however, comes with huge cost to the government and instills fear on the electorate and may increase voters' apathy except addressed head-on.
Permanent voters' cards lost in the attacks for immediate reprint.
INEC promised that all the destroyed permanent voters' cards will be ready for collection, which commences on the 12th of December 2022 to the 22nd of January 2023. Mayor Ogede.
Right, that report by Mayor Ogede sets the tone for tonight's discussion. Let me introduce our guests to you. We'd like to welcome to this program Claudius Nladi Yakubu, Deputy Commandant General in charge of critical national assets and infrastructure at the NSCDC, that's the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you, seriously.
Let me also welcome to this program Lebari Ndu, Director Security, INEC. Thanks for joining us tonight.
I'm happy to be here.
All right. And also joining us tonight is Ezenwa Wagu, Chairman Partners for Electoral Reforms. Ezenwa, it's always good to have you join us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure seeing you. You're looking fresh.
So, tonight, it's about security of INEC materials, infrastructure, and the 2023 general election. At some point in the program, you can get to be part of it, but when we approach that part, we'll remind you of the conditions. But for now, let's begin to look at the issues regarding this frequent attacks on INEC infrastructure and materials. But first, let's ask the INEC Directors of Security, how secure are these critical assets with regard to next year's election?
Thank you. I think first and foremost, security is everybody's business. But in this part of the world, we see security as if it is only for the security agents alone. And that's why when they put checkpoints on the road, we raise eyebrows. We are not saying there are no bad eggs among the people on the road. But the question is, if you remove them, how free and secure are you to pass on that road? These people who go out to vandalize INEC infrastructures, they don't come from the moon. They don't come from Ghana or Cameroon. They live with us in this country. And until Nigerians, and when I mean Nigerians of all hue and cry, decide to own the electoral and democratic process, these things will continue. Today is INEC. Tomorrow it may be any other organization. And so Nigerians should own the process. Nigerians should secure what is government has done. Yes, INEC is trying its best to secure these infrastructures. But these people who are going about doing all this brigandage, they live with us. People know where they are going. People know who they are. But people are covering them. And until Nigerians decide to own the democratic process, it's not for anybody. It's not for the politicians. Because if you vote a bad politician, the resultant effect will be bad governance. And there will be no dividends of democracy on you. Your children can't go to school. There will be no employment for people. The healthcare system will be bad because we have refused to do what we need to do. However, INEC, in collaboration and synergy with the security agencies and patriotic Nigerians, are doing all they can to ensure that its infrastructures are secured. As I speak, all the state offices of INEC are secured, where most of the infrastructure, most of the things we will use for the 2023 elections are kept. INEC with the security agencies all across, the DSS, the NSCDC, the police, Army, Air Force, they have secured where most of these infrastructures are kept. We are lucky that most of the critical infrastructures INEC will use for these elections, based on the new Electoral Act that says that funds must be made available to INEC 1 year before the election. Those funds were made available, and INEC has gotten most the things that we need. At least they have gotten 70% of non-sensitive materials. As for the sensitive materials, they are almost achieving 80%. And in the next 2-3 weeks, the beavers will be complete for all the states and all the polling units we have. INEC has ensured, using the time available to it, to get these things. And the security agencies have also come to our aid, attracting much attention. But as I speak, we want the security agents, particularly the intelligence agencies, to up their game. We know they are on top of the game, but they should up it. And Nigeria should key into cure, because the money that will be used to replace it comes from you, taxpayers' money. And government will not fold its hands and allow these things to be continually destroyed.
All right, thank you. We'll check out so many other issues, but let's come to the DCG in charge of critical national assets and infrastructure. With all this that has been happening, it's like it's a recurring. Materials are damaged, vandalized, and burned, and these are critical assets. To the very thoughts about this situation, these vandals, and so many times people carry out these attacks and they're never identified. Right now, there's this thing about the unknown gunmen and an unknown.
The perpetrators of these heinous crimes often, and I would not want to describe them as unknown, but I think we shield what we're not supposed to shield. We try to protect what is not there or what is not supposed to be protected. These persons come in different guise, and that's why it's not much easy to just clamp on them. Want to play this game at all costs. It's a matter of, I must have to win this election, and Military and Civil Defense Corps. The thought is, or the thinking is, that we must continue the advocacy for good game playing and a level playing ground, so that nobody or none of the parties will feel cheated or sidelined. With this, I think we will begin to.
All right, we'll still come about how you go about securing these critical assets, but you followed this that Nigeria seems to not to find a way out of, and it's every time. It's almost become the norm.
First is that in discussing this, there has to be some honesty. And if we don't take that part, we will continue to paper over the real issues. The burning of INEC offices and vandalization has taken a pattern. Before the Ondo election, INEC offices were touched. Anambra State Office, no consequence management, no sanctions. The people who have responsibility to deal with the issue, clear issue of failure of security provisioning and intelligence, are telling us that security is everybody's business. I don't get paid to secure anywhere. There are people who are paid from taxpayers' money to ensure that those infrastructure are protected. The first thing to do is to be honest. You watch the National Security Advisor warning, everybody warning. If probably the action of politicians, there could be varied other reasons why that could happen. So I think that what needs to happen is to have a broader engagement. The Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security needs to prioritize this very issue in a way that it can bring clear, chewable means of dealing with the challenge that confronts not just INEC now, but the whole democratic, efforts in the country. So my sense is that people who have responsibility, when they shirk that responsibility, they should apologize. If they cannot, in other places, people resign. People just say, look, I don't have an answer. Can you try some other people? What we get here is, sir, in spite of what has happened in the last 4 years or 5 years, I think that number 2 is the quality of the offices that are being touched. Yes, the state offices are secured. What about the local government offices? When you visit INEC local government offices, do you have the same kind of protection that you have when you visit the state office? In many places, they are contained within local government, those offices themselves. What kind of buildings are they? Are they in conformity with the current building codes in terms of if you touch them? There are means through which you can guarantee that some of these things, even when the arsonists come, you don't have the kind of effect that you have. We are not dealing with that. We are not answering those questions. You understand? So I think that, like I said, part of what we need to do is to have a honest appraisal of the situation that we face, not outsource it. Outsourcing it to citizens, outsourcing it to other people, outsourcing it to this one. There are people. That's why that consultative committee on election security, it was not just set up to have meetings. It was set up to think. It was set up to plan. It was set up to galvanize, to ensure that some of the challenges that we are seeing now don't happen. And until that happens, we will continue. We will come back here later and also say, it's everybody's business. Let's these people who have in every state, the NSDC is there, the DSS is there, the police is there, the army, all of them are doing police duties. All. There is no one that is not doing police duties. Yet these things will happen. No arrest will be made. Nobody, from now till next year, nobody will be arrested. The ones that has happened before have gone on like that. We use taxpayers' money to replace what has been burnt, and we move on. No closure. No accountability to anybody. In terms of what happened in Ondo, what happened in Anambra, what has happened. No accountability. And once we continue like that, we are not going to go anywhere.
All right, at this point, we will take one of a number of reports we have on the same subject matter. This one is by Adeni Taiwo, and it's coming from Lagos.
Recent timeline of unprovoked attacks and wanton destruction of INEC facilities, which began about 4 months ago, has led to about 7 attacks in 5 states of the Federation so far. 2 recent instances in Osun and Ogun State, where about 904 ballot boxes and 65,699 yet to be collected voter cards were destroyed by vandals, indicate that the attacks may have spread to the southwest of the country. While noting that the Commission is working hard to roll back the impact of past attacks on the integrity of the coming polls, with an assurance that affected registered voters will still vote, the INEC chairman is not at ease with the incidents.
Traditional and religious leaders and all well-meaning Nigerians should join hands in protecting these critical national assets. They shouldn't just be seen as INEC's facilities. They are actually national assets. So it's the responsibility of all and sundry to protect these facilities.
A recent directive by the Inspector General of Police calling on commissioners of police in states to activate the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security and provide better cover for INEC facilities appears not to have fully deterred the vandals following the most recent attacks at Oru West local government area of Imo State last Sunday.
INEC should have an infrastructure, should have a facility that has an effective access control management, whereby before you gain access into the voting materials or the election materials, you will be arrested.
If we want credible elections, it's a collective responsibility, so that we citizens too, we in the media, must do everything possible to say that this is not allowed. And I think that destruction of INEC offices should be treated as an electoral offense.
What is the situation in Lagos State?
We're not mindful of things that have been happening in other states of the Federation, and that has made us redouble our efforts to ensure that these facilities remain very safe.
Other Nigerians who weighed in on the issue want INEC to scale up on interagency protocols and preemptive measures that will forestall future episodes of attacks on its infrastructure.
All right, that report from Lagos. We have another of those reports coming in from Oka, and this is by Chinyere Okoye.
Security of INEC materials and infrastructure has been a source of concern to many following growing attacks at INEC offices and equipment in some parts of the country, including Anambra State in recent time. This has put the lead security agency, the Nigerian Police Force, and other security outfits on their toes. To forestall the negative impact of this unpatriotic act on Nigerian democratic development, the police and sister agencies are already dotting their I's and crossing their T's to ensure free, fair and credible polls come 2023.
The confidence imposed on us shall not be taken for granted. But I can assure you that all hands are on deck to make sure that coming 2023 election is a very favorable one here in Anambra, just like what we did in the last governorship election.
I've started even mobilizing to make sure that people will come out and vote without fear or any molestation.
Putting all machineries in motion to encourage active participation of citizenry in the political process.
We urge the electorate and the masses to play by the rules. The fear of coming out to vote shouldn't come in play, because the security agencies are doing everything possible, especially here in Anambra, to make sure that there is peaceful election.
So I've even directed my DOs, because they are in the local government and the INEC offices are in the local government, to be red alert
to a cross-section of electorate in Anambra State.
Right from Adam, there is insecurity. It depends on how you view it. You know, people say there is insecurity everywhere, but it's not peculiar to Nigeria. So we just have to manage it. That's the only way out.
People, everybody, including myself, must come out and cast their votes. I'm not just prepared. I'm ready and willing to defend my votes.
The respondents in Anambra State are equally urging those who have not collected their permanent voter cards to do so.
When INEC decided to have prototype buildings, most of INEC offices were in local government offices. Now, when they decided as a policy to have their own local government offices, in some states, most of these buildings are built close to the police station. Most of it. In some areas where they are given land by the state or local government, it is not within the purview of the security agencies. Some are built far. And let the truth be told, they are not as it should be. The security management at most of these offices is poor. Some don't have perimeter fence, but before this election, the commission took it as a matter of deliberate policy, not just to renovate the offices, but to also make sure that perimeter fences are built and properly secured. Take the case of the Ebonyi State. The office was renovated. On Friday, the staff moved in, happy that they have gotten a new building where they can work. And on Sunday morning, it was destroyed. INEC has also taken it upon itself, when these attacks started coming in, to ensure that open spaces and all those things that were there are no longer there. The commission has, in conjunction with the lead agency, the police, even prior to this period, sent officers to keep the offices safe. It is true that most times you get there and you won't see those who are supposed to be there. But that's not to say that security has not been provided. INEC also employed some staff security staff late last year to ensure that states that do not have, or states that have and people have retired, are filled up. INEC employed 844 security staff nationwide to complement, and it has kept on improving, kept on replacing those who have retired or those who died. But you see, INEC security, they are laymen. They are not trained. INEC has also decided that from now henceforth, those people who have retired, members of the Legion, will be contracted to help in securing the offices.
One is tempted to ask this in terms of the physical security of the infrastructure. How much advantage do you take of technology?
As I speak, because of the spate of destruction, INEC is looking into using technology to protect their offices, not at the state level, but first at the local government level, because that's where the thing is happening. Everybody is in the state, and the local government is left bare. So, as I speak, they are considering various proposals that have been submitted by security companies and even the ISIS. But just like Nzewa said, I think ISIS should up their game. It is not enough they keep giving instructions without seeing whether those instructions are followed or not.
This is Claudius, and how challenging is it to deploy personnel? I know that there are many levels of security, but the first that most people are likely to encounter would be the physical presence of security personnel. In dealing with threats to national assets and infrastructure, what are the challenges of effective deployment of personnel here?
Thank you very much. The challenges, if one will consider it enormous, but they are not insurmountable. You deploy staff according to the strength of the state or the divisions, as it were, in Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. Yes, the number might not be adequate, but I think government has tried enough to ensure that Nigerians are employed so that they could equally be engaged at various levels. I remember in the year 2019, the president gave employment waiver of about 10,000 personnel. That, of course, might seem inadequate, but government has tried a little or much as the economy can accommodate. Deployment, therefore, wouldn't be anything. It might not be enough. But in NSCDC, we believe that we work in synergy, we work hand in glove with other security agencies, and therefore, the police being the lead agency in all election matters, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps is saddled with the responsibility of securing especially the critical assets and infrastructure, and this includes the buildings, the physical buildings we see around. We might not go deep into the papers and all that is maybe in the custody of INEC, but we go after the physical buildings and ensuring that they are protected.
Well, while there might be shortfalls in personnel deployment here, many people would raise the question of intelligence, especially intelligence gathering and sharing. Are there assessments carried out about risk of threat levels in certain areas, some areas prone? What period of the year would be more likely? Are we likely to see an increase in activities like this?
Thank you. Yes, intelligence activities or intelligence steps are taken in most of these incidents. It's just that sometimes they either go faster than the security agents or the security agency, or that somehow there could be moles or there could be some other interest group that want to either make a statement wrongly or whatever. And that is always the bane of the failures that we see often when there is such breakdown or such attempts or such arson activities.
Yes, when you talked earlier on about there being maybe more angles to this than just the matter of politicians are responsible, there could be all kinds of reasons. And there are theories all around about who could be responsible. The politicians on the one hand, and then there are those who say, look, if you destroy critical assets, they're reproduced. Of course, we're talking about resources will be deployed. Who is benefiting from the replacement of structures and materials? Some theorists say there might be reason to look towards that angle. And then, of course, the civil populace, what is their take in ensuring that critical infrastructure such as this, especially in the period of an election, are safe?
We're going back to the same outsourcing to people who for instance, the fact that I'm raising accountability issues does not mean that I do not condemn completely and in totality the despicable, diabolical, investment in that kind of challenge that we're seeing by whoever. What it has done is that it will distract the electoral management body. It will create unnecessary fear. But the commission has shown, in time past, capacity, that resilience that is required to overcome these challenges. But the crux of the matter is that when you listen to the conversations, you don't get the sense that anybody feels that it is his responsibility. That's my worry. I don't get that feeling that there is anywhere somebody is saying, I got a responsibility to protect this national infrastructure. And let me finish. Right. Let me come. And by that, if, for instance, somebody is on duty, the police, NSDC, whoever, the INEC security, that are on duty in that local government where this arson happens, society demands that you tell us what happened. Did they come and they ran away? Was there a reinforcement? Did anybody call for help? Or at the time they came, there was nobody at all? Because to touch a building to the point of the level of destruction means that somebody or some people have completely abdicated their responsibility. And we are not interested in that conversation. And that's my worry. So the big challenge is that civil society, the media, like we're doing, we are galvanizing citizens to participate in the electoral process. We are galvanizing traditional and moral authority to invest that authority in ensuring that the democracy is consolidated. But once you have security agencies shirking their responsibility as the critical stakeholder in security provisioning, we are going to be going round these circles. And it's not just for INEC issues. It's the same thing. Things happen and nobody, I have not seen a commissioner of police resign and say, look, this thing that happened, I take responsibility. Immediately you come, you see, security is everybody's business. I have not seen any NSDC commandant in any state say, look, we failed. We failed in doing that. So if we pay you salaries and the country loses this amount of money from time to time and nobody is punished, nobody is sanctioned. We're just going to be having this kind of conversation that makes no meaning, because at the end of the day, whether you are many or you are few, there's an investment. There is some kind of investment in ensuring that is why you are there. If it happened in Ondo, it happened in Sokoto, it happened in Anambra, it happened in Ebonyi, it happened in Imo, and our national security advisor on television is still warning, and you think I should be talking about civil, what is civil groups doing? I think that I wouldn't invest my time in doing that.
Let's look at the example he cited. An office was renovated and set up on a Friday, and people moved in to do that. But on a Sunday, it's destroyed.
Is there nobody on duty on Sunday? So so does Sunday preclude the fact that those who have responsibility? So once you renovate a building, then you no longer will secure it. What we have had INEC officials, INEC security, through carelessness, burn down buildings. That has happened. It's not just touching. There is also the setting up of fire in some offices. We know that. But what I'm talking about, Cyril, is consequence management. Until you are able to deal with people who shirk their responsibility, you are just going to be explaining, on Sunday it got burnt. So on Sunday nobody is on duty.
Perhaps at this point we might ask the question that the investigations into these incidents, the ones that have happened in the past, what are the outcomes? What was determined as the real cause? Was it just placed at the doorstep of vandals or those who just wanted to truncate the process? Or did the investigations, were there inquiries that were held to determine remote and immediate causes? And what had been the strategy in looking ahead? Because if it's happened in state A, then chances are it might happen in state B. What are the steps that have been taken in forestalling this from happening in other parts of the country?
Well, let me not overheat the issue. This is why I said the truth. And consequence management. If you look at even the electoral process, you will discover that we don't have people who take responsibility for what is happening. And because people don't take responsibility, everybody gets up to do what he or she likes. That's the reason why until recently, until the last 6-7 months, when INEC, because of the new Electoral Act, decided to do a few prosecution when people were now found with cars, that you will see that people are now being prosecuted and conviction gotten. Electoral offenses, because there is no punishment, and I'm saying this with all sense of responsibility, INEC doesn't have a police. And you don't expect the INEC to arrest people and prosecute. When crimes are committed, the Nigerian police, as a lead security agency for electoral matters, should be the ones to arrest, investigate, and by the new Electoral Act, hand them over to INEC for prosecution. And once that started, INEC has secured 2 convictions. In the last 3 weeks, we have secured 2 convictions, one in Kano and one in Sokoto, where people were found with voters' cards permanent voters' cards they cannot account for whatever reason, and they got the cards. You will discover that as we go out to distribute these new cards, When we ask people, we are not distributing, we're asking people to come and collect it. Because if you say you are distributing, people will collect it by proxy. And I'm happy to say it. For the first time in the history of INEC, under the management of Mahmoud Yakubu, clear guidelines have been spelled out and given to people on how these cars are to be given, are to be collected. Prior to now, somebody will go there, oh, this is my people, this is my people. He collects it, he disenfranchises people because he will not distribute it. He will collect it and keep it. So what we need to do is consequence management. People must be punished for doing the wrong thing. It is not only in INEC, it is generally in our society. And like he said, we must tell ourselves the truth. Our problem in this country is that we have come to a point where we have believed our lies to be the truth. And until we realize and know that we are not doing ourselves any good as a society and punish miscreants. I grew up in a rural society where if you steal, there are consequences if you are caught. You will refund that thing, the community will ostracize you, you won't go to the stream, you won't go to the market, nobody will buy things from you. And so it reduced the level of stealing, taking people's property without permission. But we came and the human rights group came up, oh, he has a right, he has this, he has that. As if the man whose property is stolen doesn't have a right. We have to balance it. If you are a thief, you are a thief. I had a friend who stole frog from somebody's dog, somebody's pit, and they caught him. And they gave him two options. Either you pay for the frog, or we strip you naked and you dance around the community. And the man opted for the latter. And he did not wait for people to play for him. He started playing, I will dance because my mother doesn't have money. He slowed down his activity. So we must take responsibility as a society.
Even when you adopt such measures, you live in the 21st century, and there are clear guidelines. And in fact, Izua here would be the first to speak against certain forms of what you call rural punishment. But beyond that, again, if we come to the NSCDC, the level of collaboration among the security agencies in terms of sharing of intelligence, and particularly in terms of deploying for the protection of such infrastructure. Okay, a question is raised. A building is renovated and within 36 hours it is destroyed. And this might not be in a remote part that you'd say is inaccessible. What could lead to that kind of situation?
Well, there might be factors, so many other factors that would be responsible for this. Mr. Lebaru Ndu, Mr. Ezenwa made mention of maybe some kind of staff or whatever who might be involved in that kind of activity. But I think that these gangsters or these arsonists have a way of playing it out. And what the security agencies, what civil defense is doing is to step up the game and not just being physically there. Feelers are gotten from the people within. And I think would again step up our advocacy and all the campaigns that is being carried out. This way, you will find out that if we get people sensitized, they will be able to bring out information as to those who are having ill feelings or who are having that intention of going to commit such crimes. I think the society requires more of reorientation. We have given much strength to the electionary process only at the winning stage. Nobody wants to go into the nitty-gritty of why elections should be credible at all times. As for information sharing, the police is the lead agency. Information is given, and like Mr. Lebaru said, prosecutions of recent have taken place. I think that is the beginning, and this will further be intensified. And I'm sure 2023 election will be very much okay.
Sometimes there are worries about response period, especially when you have command spread out in all the states of the federation, and then people raise questions about the level of command that is given to those who are heading such bodies at the state level. Do they have to seek permission from Abuja to carry out certain critical activities at some points? People raise such questions, that perhaps something is happening at this level, and the man there needs to secure the permission of some other top official in his headquarters before he can adequately deploy. Does that happen?
No, I think it depends on the individual. And if that is noticed in civil defense, that individual will be punished accordingly. You will not say as a state commandant or as a divisional officer that there is an attempt to either cause friction during elections or going to touch INEC facilities, that you will have to wait for permission. You first deal with it and then give your report. In this instance, if it is infrastructure, it is your responsibility to make sure that it is defended and protected before you report to superior authorities. And I know that is what is in practice for now.
Well, we'll still come back to the issue of the people. Sometimes you hear saying that, well, the criminals, they live within society and they're right there. And if you find someone who's going around with a can of petrol, for instance, they don't own a vehicle. Of course, one might say in terms of scarcity, you would find people going around with containers, but they don't own a vehicle. They're not into the trade that we'll see we refer to as the black market, and yet they're carrying out gasoline or materials, incendiary materials, and nobody says anything and says, well, it's the business of the government. That's another angle that people have talked about as well.
Yeah, that's there. That's there. But let's look at the structure of command that the security providers have. In the DSS, for instance, you have the state director. Then you have information officers at the local government level. We need to place responsibility that in this local government, the EO, the INEC electoral officer, the DSS people, the NSDC people, the DPO, if your local government, if anything happens to INEC office in your local government, the money to replace those things will be deducted from your salaries. This thing will stop. People can't take responsibility. Simple. Listen, if you start building in Abuja, inside the village in Abuja, once you raise the foundation to block out of the foundation, you see people come and mark X. Who are those people? How do they know you are building in that remote place? No, how do they know? The point is that when people shirk responsibility, the EO is not ensuring that those who they post He does not, many times, he does not even live in the local government where he's EO. He lives in the state capital, he works in so and so local government. So he's not even there to know whether people who were sent on night duty are there. Our tendency, cleaving to cronyism and patronage has made even recruitment. Most times, the people we recruit to do these jobs are relations and friends and all of that. So, in the hierarchy of authority is broken completely. We know these things and we are pretending that it doesn't happen. So, hold the EO, the electoral officer, in the local government where this thing is. He's supposed to have his own access.
Yes.
From what we know, he's supposed to have his own access. He's supposed to have his own access. So if they are functioning, if they are working, if they are not working, why are they not working? Somebody should be asking that question. If nobody is asking that question, we will be talking about citizens. If so, in period of fuel scarcity that is almost everywhere, you see somebody holding jerry can of you go and confront him and say, why you, when perhaps he wants to go and put it in his generator or in his car. Those are more serious issues. But these folks have abdicated their responsibilities. If I come to INEC office to see my Oga here, if I don't call him, I will not get access. In the local government, is it the same?
It's not. That's the truth.
If I don't, no matter who I am, if I come to this place at the first layer, somebody is asking me, who do you want to see? Why do you know? And if my name is not brought to the gate, I have no access. If you go to the state office in the night, you will see patrol vans in front of the place. When they are not there, who is calling to say, where are you people? These are the challenges that confront. You see, these are, public officials, and they are restrained from opening up and saying things the way they are. But the truth of the matter is that people are not doing what they should do. And EO, who is in Enugu, works in a local government, maybe a Kulobia, he does not come there. He visits there. He's a visitor. He doesn't know what's happening. And then the only report he gives is that they have gone to the place. Nobody will ask him, where were you? What time? Who was on duty? What action has been taken? And even bring him, arrest him. But you see, so society, the traditional rulers, every time we say, oh, traditional rulers, and they should speak to people to look, until we effectively hold people responsible. And I know what I'm talking about. I've traveled around and I've visited INEC offices in many states. And I'm worried. Even INEC staff, many of them are also worried. Because if it is not this voter registration time or election time, most of those offices are empty. Nobody is there. Some of them have shops in markets in different places. You won't even know the INEC officials. So let's be sure that somebody is responsible. The criminals cannot deter us. The criminals will distract us. They will make us burden our cost of running elections. But the responsibility to secure this country, I will continue to say, is not everybody's business.
I think I differ a little bit from the stand of Mr. Izenwa, that the security of lives and property is not everybody's business. That's why we have a montage in civil defense that if you see something, we orchestrate that very much. If you see something, say something. Nobody is saying that civilians or whoever that you say are not trained should go and confront the criminals. But you have liberty, or you have a responsibility to report these things. And there's utmost confidentiality in whatever report you give. Therefore, on that ground alone, I think I will not agree with you. However, the question of honesty.
No, you need to understand me.
I do.
Listen to me carefully.
Okay.
listen, if you listen to me carefully,
yes, sir,
you would understand that I am not saying that citizens have no role. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, you made insinuations that they are not paid.
I play my
role. Yeah.
Oga, DCO, you earn, you are paid by the Nigerian state
yes, sir,
for this purpose.
Yes, that's right.
And you have a schedule of duty.
Yes.
This other one is my patriotic duty, which I am doing. But I am saying that if you that is paid,
yes,
do not do your own responsibility, whatever commitment I make as a patriotic citizen
will be
is a waste. Because you are the one who, see, this uniform confers something on you.
Definitely.
That I don't have. There is something it confers on you, even when you are not on the uniform. Why? Because there is the power of the state. So the traffic warden on the road is stopping a trailer. Why is the trailer stopping?
Because of the authority and
the authority backing it. The trailer could have crushed the traffic warden and say, after all, you know. But once the traffic warden puts his hand like this, the power behind I don't have that authority. If I raise my hand for trailer, he will look at me and say, who the hell is this? You understand? So I'm not saying, in saying that, I do not mean that citizens have no contribution to securing, you know, their environment and all of that. In many places in Nigeria today, citizens have taken over security provisioning. In the estates where I live, we are the ones who hire the people who secure us. If you don't do that, you are at your own mercy. So I understand that part. But the point is that, believe me, that if people who have responsibility take their responsibility seriously, some of these lamentations will go. Every election year, Cyril, every election year, we come back to this conversation. If it didn't happen in 2019, it would have been a different thing. That, okay, this is a new phenomenon. We are studying it. We want to know the pattern. But the pattern has been established. Those who conduct these nefarious, diabolical activities are known. In most cases, if you even ask the security agencies, they know.
So why have they let them off the hook? But this conversation will continue shortly. At this point, we'll take a break. When we return, we have other reports, and then the phone lines will be open, and then you can be part of the discussion here. So stay with us on NTA Tuesday Live. We'll be back shortly.
157-kilometer Lagos-Ibadan Railway is the first double-track standard gauge railway to be built in West Africa. The Mobolaji Johnson train station is a masterpiece, an infrastructure that is gradually becoming an iconic building in Lagos State. The modern facilities put the station on a world map of train stations. Likewise, other new train stations across the country built to world-class standards. The train and its convenience is indeed an admirable effort, with commendations from Nigerians.
This is a station that we have to commend the federal government for putting a beautiful face, empowering us in Lagos State, not only in economic and political arena.
I can say that I'm really impressed with the infrastructures in place. Kudos to the Minister of Transportations. Kudos to the federal government.
Truly, good things are coming out of Nigeria, and the federal government is deserving of all the applause. NTA Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Thanks for staying with us. We start off with our next report from Owerri by Bright Ebuchu.
The attack on facilities of the Independent National Electoral Commission in Inoru West Local Government Area of Imo State on Sunday, December 4, 2022, came barely 3 days after the first attack on another INEC office in Olu Local Government Area of the state, Thursday, December 1, 2022. This has no doubt become worrisome for indigenes of the state and registered voters in particular, who have been very enthusiastic about exercising their franchise in the forthcoming 2023 general elections. Professor Sylvia Ago is the Imo State Resident Electoral Commissioner.
The DSS called me at exactly 6:30 a.m. that one of our offices at Oru West was attacked. Then the letter sent pictures of the attack. I thank God for his urgent intervention because God actually used the police, yes, to stop the fire.
While the reasons for these attacks may not be clear to the people, some of them describe it as an act of sabotage with very severe consequences, considering its effect on the political will of indigents of Imo State.
It's a criminal act. It's anti-social act. It is totally unacceptable. It is barbaric. You don't go to INEC offices and you begin to burn INEC offices in different places and burn the materials. I mean, my brother, it's unacceptable. It's not good.
If the security agencies do their proper investigation, diligent investigation, they will unwrap this thing as a pattern. But they need to put on their thinking cap and dig deeper to find out if there are persons who have ulterior motives for which these offices are being burnt.
As it is, the damages to these facilities have no doubt created more jobs for INEC and the federal government, who will have to provide resources to ensure replacement of such infrastructure in line with its commitment to ensuring a hitch-free general election across the country.
Our documents are intact. They were not affected. Even the one at Olo is the Gateman house that they attacked. That's still under construction.
As part of their effort, INEC officials have been holding consultative meetings with security agencies and the Imo State Traditional Rulers Council to brainstorm on the way forward.
There's no gain. Nothing comes good out of it. Destroying the property that has already built in our areas is a foolishness.
No right-thinking Nigeria will want facilities of INEC to be burnt. They are making effort. If not for anything, the new beavers they have introduced now shows that the business of cutting away ballot boxes and the toggery would have been over.
We can solve all of our problems if we all decide to approach them through non-violent means. And it is not good destroying things that we can do without destroying.
Concerted effort must also be made towards unmasking those behind these attacks through increased security surveillance across INEC facilities. For Tuesday Live, I am Bright Ebuchu.
And from Owerri, we'll go to Kaduna, where Achari Maxwell brings us this report.
Of recent, Independent National Electoral Commission facilities has come under heavy attacks by hoodlums, where properties worth millions of naira were lost. First, it was Ogun State, then Osun and Ebonyi, with the latest attack in Imo bringing the number of attacks to 4 within the space of 2 weeks. Certainly, this is not going down well with the electoral umpire, considering that the general elections are just around the corner.
Alhamdulillah, things have not been as bad as they have been in other states, and I wish to use this opportunity to thank the law enforcement agents, most especially the police, the civil defense, and all the others that have been assisting us in keeping our infrastructures safe.
This development is giving stakeholders serious sense of concern as it has negative impact on the socio-economic well-being and the electoral process. They call for proactive measures and credible intelligence gathering by security operatives to build confidence in the electorate.
If the electorate agree to work as a team on that, I believe that there will be less tension in terms of the fear, because and also for the politicians themselves, I think the campaign should be issue-based. It shouldn't be attack. The campaign should be issue-based. Every candidate should come and say what he can afford or what he can do for Nigerians.
Government should arm the security agencies, train them, motivate them, and make sure that they are doing the right thing, make sure that they protect the people, make sure that they protect the INEC facilities, and ensure that election take place.
Let the locals there, the indigenous of that area,
should be up and doing to see that at least they are very watchful, and they should not be afraid of finding way of reaching the security agencies to tell them if there is any evil intention.
Government can also explore the option of engagement and dialogue if the need be towards ensuring a hitch-free and peaceful elections come 2023 in Kaduna. Achari Maxwell.
All right, so at this point, the phone lines will be open. It means you can get to join in the conversation in the studio. We always remind you at this point in time, for those who are calling in and whose call gets through, we'd like to encourage you to go straight to the point. If your call gets through tonight, do us a favor, turn down the volume of your TV set. That's the way to avoid the hurlback or the echo. And we also like to encourage you to go straight to the point. Don't waste too much time on greetings. Just a simple hello would do. And keep it short and simple so others can also get on the platform and air their views. It's about security of INEC materials and infrastructure as we approach the 2023 general election. So let's keep those calls coming. And whatever issues you raise, our panelists here will respond to them. Let's get back to Lebari Ndu. Of all what has happened in the past, and of course INEC has taken measures of its own, the question here would be, what level of monitoring does the Commission engage in with regard to its structures across the country?
Thank you very much. Prior to this period, I won't say it was business as usual, because at every level of government, there are officers who are responsible to do certain things. But when these things started, the Commission in this wisdom decided that even those officers who are supposed to be in Abuja, you don't stay there and monitor what is happening. You must, based on what you perceive to be the truth. The Commission will on its own find out from other sources, credible sources, that when you bring a report, they will compare it with what is available to them and confront you as the officer who brings these things. It is true, because I was an officer at the local government level, and what everyone said is the truth. Most electoral officers don't stay there. Most don't stay. Few of us stay. And when you stay and interact with the people, there are informations you get and pass on to your superiors that people couldn't get. Let me use myself as an example. In 2015 general elections, I was an electoral officer at Esa Northeast, Uromi. Because I was not staying anywhere else other than Uromi, when the information came that students want to burn down the office, that the allowances were not paid, which was the decision the then electoral commissioner took, asking us not to pay the money because it was going to distract our attention for preparation. And all the security agencies were there. But because I was there, I was at a place drinking with them when the information came, and I just sneaked out and called the DPO, called the DSS, called the area commander, and called my rec. Do you know that in 30 minutes, the entire place was surrounded by security agents? And when those people came who wanted to destroy the office, they just moved into a trap that was set by the security agents, and they were picked away. And those who sent them called the then chairman, Professor Jega, and Jega was asking me what happened. I said, no, everything is under control, that we who are here are doing our business as usual. He said, it's not true, that's not what he's told. I said, the area commander is here, the officer of civil defense is here, the DSS is here. I handed over the phone to him. And then, after that time, Rec, Mike Igini, called him and told him what we were able to do. That's to support the point everyone was saying, that INEC should take the question of supervision seriously.
Well, I suppose the same question would go to the civil defense as well, and the matter of constant monitoring of the level of compliance to instructions and duties and level of performance of duties of your personnel.
Thank you. As far as civil defense is concerned, every officer is expected to be alive to his responsibilities. Besides that, there are checks and balances. In a division, you have the divisional officer, and in every division also you have cells and wards, which there are officers that are responsible. And for, let me be specific about election issues. The local government election offices is directly under the purview of the divisional officer. But aside that, you have an area commander or an area commander or officer who takes charge of supervising not only that local government alone, but 2 or 3 local government areas put together. And you find out that civil defense has gone a step ahead, a little, by having this community consultative committee. And what it does is to ensure that even the people who report to the divisional officer, if any of the officers is found wanting in his discharge of his duty. And it also carries out sensitivity or sensitization of the citizenry and the traditional rulers and all that. And we allow the traditional rulers also to interface at all times with the divisional officers. This, I think, is giving us good results as we receive timely reports of activities of all our officers.
So can we completely absolve the politicians from being complicit in this
No,
situation?
absolutely no. Their vitriolic comments aggravates this challenge. Their inability to stay around things that ennoble citizens. I don't like this issue base because for me it's become a mantra. I think that we're not seeing politicians come in clear terms and condemn this violence in the way that we expect them to. Even if you don't know what has happened, the fact that INEC offices are being touched, vandalized, and you know that has consequences for even the election in which you want to participate. The politicians and their political parties have a responsibility to also engage in advocacy, but we are not seeing that. There is no anywhere where you find them in this kind of conversation. But what I don't subscribe to is to completely all the time face in one direction, because during the Anambra election, when people were saying the election will not hold, I was everywhere, including the station, saying it will hold. And the reason I said so was because the politicians are vested in making sure that the election holds. Actually, they are the beneficiaries of our votes. The leadership recruitment process that we have is through the political parties and through the politicians. So if they understand their place in the stakeholdership of elections, they should be in the forefront of condemning some of these. But that's not happening. But I also ask myself really that it may be voter suppression, but we need to study. We need to study the local governments that have been burnt. But since they also know that they touched buildings in Ondo, it did not stop.
Right. So the question would be, why would
so that's what I'm saying. So those other people who are pursuing, the other people who claim they are pursuing a cause. I mean, I have asked myself how burning INEC office advances whatever cause you are pursuing. It does not in any way. Even if whatever statement you think you are making does not in any way impact. So it's an action in futility in my own view. It does not, all that it does is distraction.
So there might well be some other reason that's not been unearthed at this point in time. Why this might be? Because if you burn down the office, it doesn't stop anything going on.
That's what I'm saying.
It doesn't put your candidate
at any advantage.
At any advantage.
So even if you plan voter suppression, meaning that okay, if you burn the PVCs or where you target where the PVCs are domiciled, even your own candidate will not benefit.
Of course.
So it's a useless, it's a very useless thing, in terms of the bigger picture, the bigger framing of this conversation. It doesn't benefit. I've tried to, and it's been a long run conversation. But let us also come back to the place that you are constantly not wanting us to go to, which is NSDC didn't have guns some years back. The argument was that they needed to be armed so that they can effectively support police duties in communities. In my own community, we provided a place. If you go there today, you won't find them. Nobody comes from that headquarters to come and see whether their men are there. So the disconnect between the top and the operatives on the ground is a huge challenge. And sometimes I really wonder whether your guys are not aware. If they are not aware, and because every time you see them, they say, oh, you see them in burials, in marriages, controlling traffic for people. Okay? That's not their responsibility. That's not their job. You see them there. Their bosses are aware. They can't until you take note of this and ensure this supervision thing has to go everywhere. Because what has happened is that people join these organizations and sometimes work to be posted to those communities. And then they become farmers and traders.
Well, this is your response to
yes.
Issue you raised.
This, I think, is a very strange development, and I will take this information very seriously. First, we would be interested in knowing the community, even if you can say it now after, so that we'll be able to take proactive steps. But like I said from the outset, that for every division, we have even an area officer, area commander, that supervises all the staff within a division. And a division comprised of a local government. And if this is happening, it is very strange to us, because we expect and we do supervise to ensure that every staff is at his duty post.
This year, do you have a report of your men who are in the local government where INEC offices have been burnt?
Yes, we do. I will pass the reports to INEC.
No, this they as to their actions, the things they did or didn't.
Yes, we do.
Right, and
we do.
Okay.
And the report is being transmitted.
So now we get to the part of where we put the question and say, how can this be stemmed? And the reason why I would say everyone must take responsibility. That's one step. What can be done to ensure that even in situations where the arsonists and the criminals gain access to these facilities, whatever damage they wish to inflict would be minimal. That's one set of it. I'm also interested in the matter of arrests and prosecution, which I'll come to later on. And it will be even beyond just the critical assets of INEC alone, because INEC is not in isolation. National assets are there. And you talked about 2 convictions so far since you stepped up new activities.
But just within these 3 weeks.
Within these 3 weeks. Okay, within 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
So it's quite possible that in the days ahead we might see an increased tempo in arrest, prosecution, and possibly convictions of people who would rather derail the system. So let's hear it.
Well, thank you very much. I think INEC doesn't have the power, like I said, of investigation. It doesn't have the power of arrests.
Okay.
But if the people, the security agencies who have the powers do it, I can give you this statement and you can take it to the bank that the commission will prosecute anybody that his investigation is completed and must make sure that conviction is secured.
All right. I'll ask you to pause a while here. We have a call out of the line. Nnamdi calling in from Abuja. Hello, if you're there, go ahead.
Okay, good evening. My name is Nnamdi Obama. We speak to some of the issues that have been highlighted. INEC offices have been taught in several states of the country, and we don't see any proactive measure by the government and by the security authorities to address some of these issues. Just like one of your guest writers, some of the officers, they're in the villages and they don't, carry out their legitimate duty. Why can't these security operators be assigned to different INEC offices? I mean, we have many VIPs with security men that we don't even need. These people, these operations should be assigned to the various INEC offices across the country. We have the right personnel. Even if they're not going to cascade it to the local government, all the state offices should be secured. That is my point. I don't think we should be having the constant issues of INEC offices being run. Then on the part of INEC, the security document shouldn't be left in the various INEC offices until the elections are fast approaching because of what happened. So these are the few points I need to.
All right, Nnamdi, thank you. I think so far we got the better part of what you were suggesting here. And last comments he made before the line went off was that it shouldn't be at election period. That right. So,
like I was saying, it still boils down to one factor: taking responsibility. And I know that in the last office of INEC that was burnt in Ebonyi, the commission has taken a decision and has ensured that the people who were on duty are arrested to ensure that they tell us what happened. Because if people do not take responsibility, who will?
Okay. Another call is through, and this one is from Francis, calling in from Delta. Go ahead, Francis.
Yeah. Good evening, still October. Yeah. Good evening, still October, sir.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yeah, God bless you, sir. I enjoyed this conversation so much. I want to thank you for this great opportunity and privilege. The issue I'm saying now is that if our leaders, they want credible elections to take place in this country, Nigeria, the country is for us all. They should stop initiating people to go and board INEC because politicians should be behind this thing they are doing now. Because this is the first time in the history of Nigeria that we want to do credible and fair elections, just like the Oshoefo that they did that was abandoned during the time of Moshood Abdullah and so on, June 12th. Now, the INEC has agreed that now vote we can't. Now that vote we can't, they are now taking the leaders, both from other political parties, they are behind this thing. So they should be warned because they felt that if they did the election credibly, there will be peace in this country and they reach a leader with be elected. So they should allow us, Nigerians, to choose who we want to govern us. Because this is the problem, this is the challenge now. So because they felt if they won the INEC election, then they could do any other thing, where to be writing results and calling for people. Result that cannot be accounted for, to be accounted for. So I want to beg that they should allow Nigeria, allow us to choose our leaders that will govern us, because presently our country, the system of this country, like to start with, the economic is dead. We are in big famine. People are suffering. People are suffering. So they should allow us now, let the election count based on the digital that they want to use, so that everybody can vote. When you vote, you see your decision, you know you are voting for the candidate who you want to govern you. Let them do it. If you forget about initiating people to be destroying INEC, talking the security, yes, they are human beings. So at least they should tell those that are in different political, especially the APC and the PDP, whatsoever thing they are doing now, because they are the major party we have. Allow the common one to come. Let us vote who we want to elect, who we want to govern us, for peace to be restored, because we want peace. We want peace. In John 14:27, when Jesus wanted to leave, he told us that the peace he gave to us. So we want that peace to reign in Nigeria.
All right.
We don't want anything contrary to be happening in this country. No, we want to choose our leader. They should allow us to choose who we want to govern us.
All right.
We don't want any people to implement or to force people on us.
Okay.
After doing the election, the person you voted for will not hear his name. Don't hear another thing. They tell you to go to court. At the end of the day, nothing will happen. Because in this country, I heard the other time they did saying sentence was not completed. So we don't want to hear all those drama.
Okay.
We want to choose our leader. They should stop. Those that are behind initiating people to go and appoint INEC offices cannot help.
All right, Francis. Thank you very much, Francis, calling in from Delta. Yes. Well, INEC has also given an assurance that it will not be deterred and they will not succumb to any of this. Burning their offices, destroying their materials, elections will go on and be credible. But interestingly, Francis believes that this is the handiwork of politicians.
We can't completely rule out the facts. I mean, we are taking different scenarios that are possible. You can't rule out the fact that there are politicians who might be working to undermine the electoral process. And it's not just a Nigerian thing. People commit crime everywhere. There is nowhere. So it's about law and order management too. If people behave in a deviant manner, that's why you have institutions. The institutions are meant to deal with those issues. Sometimes, if you look at Nigeria, for instance, in spite of what people say, we are even more relatively more well behaved than other people who have all the infrastructure and yet they are misbehaving. So if our law enforcement and law and order regime is prone to dealing with issues around the election as if it is a crime, because there's also an attitude issue, that we're not dealing with. The attitude that is election, is INEC, is politicians. So once that attitude continues to persist, then you are not likely. So the security agent is afraid that even if he makes arrest, he can be posted out of, or they can send him to a place where he will not be able to scoot anybody, witness. So there are those issues, So, but we need first and foremost at the top, and that was why I thought that when I listened to the NSA, that I'll be hearing that in Ondo we arrested so and so people, we are prosecuting them, but I get but you were asking of what other things that are possible that could happen. to stem the tide,
Right.
because that's where you were.
Okay, yes. So we'll come to that in just a moment. Let's just take this call from Lagos. Temitayo calling in from Lagos. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Go ahead, Temitayo.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead. Hello, good morning.
Temitayo, are you there? Just turn down the volume of your set and go ahead. I can hear the hurl back from here. So just go ahead. We're waiting to hear from you. All right, we lost that call. So, yes.
So I think that prevention is important, and that's where we should focus our attention right now. The issue about the buildings that the Director of Security was talking about, we need to be able to bring in the National Society of Engineers to be able to, perhaps there are more better ways to construct some of these offices in a way that makes it difficult for fire and such other things. I think that conversation needs to happen. There has to be a broader engagement with people who are, involved in this construction, so that it's not just contract for the sake of contract and prototypes, because now that we know that the INEC buildings have become prone to, we need to diffuse that in a way that these experts can bring in some of these methods. We need to also think about fire service, because in many of the states there are no fire service.
But that's another angle we'll go to. Let's take in this call from Bauchi. Zainab calling in from Bauchi. Hello, Zainab.
Yes,
sorry?
This is Maina Modugana.
Maina, not Zainab. I beg your pardon. Maina from Bauchi. Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I want to contribute or react to what Temwa was saying as regards to security agencies at INEC office. I am a divisional officer of civil defense, one of the local government in Bauchi State. Instruction came to us from our headquarters through our that we should safeguard INEC office. Right from that time, it's only civil defense, my boys that are posted to that particular office, that were there for almost like 3 months before police later deployed their men. And despite the fact that all natural infrastructure and facilities of government responsibility take care of. So we don't just sit back and look at people touching government facilities, because it's our core mandate. What Mr. Ezenwa was saying, that at the local government level, we are not part of, or we are not storing the property. Actually, we have a very good rapport with the EO of that particular local government. So, and based on what is happening around the country, so we always liaise with him, with the GSS, so we don't give room to any other person to come and destroy those facilities. Because even the cards that people are there, like we used to screen them before they come into the office and get their card and move away. So, and one issue he talked about is the issue of staff of INEC. That one is general, because most of our times the staffs are not there. Only the security men, and the security men is just because of our presence that they used to be there. Before, they used to lock the place and leave the place empty. But now, as the situation is now changing, we are very much in synergy with most of the security agencies, particularly in Bauchi State, because we are not taking it lightly. So my DCG is there, who spoke about the responsibility of our divisional officers, area commanders. They have been calculating us. We don't take it lightly. So I'm assuring him that I think in our own end, we may not allow any person to tamper with any of the facility, not INEC. So that's my contribution.
Right. Thank you very much, Maina from Bauchi, giving us a situation report from Bauchi, and of course, raising some critical issue here about INEC staff. So,
yeah, like I said before, INEC has decided that people must take responsibility for their actions. And so anybody who is not found where you should be at any particular time will answer a query. And the query will be subjected to the situation on ground. If you are not supposed to be there, why are you not? If you are supposed to be there, why are you not found there? And if you can't give us any of this thing, somebody on top of you who should monitor you but didn't do that will have to pay for it. Because there has to be responsibility. People must take responsibility. I, as a director of security, wherever I go out. Even in this town, I don't have time for sleep because I must go out to check my staff. Are they on duty? Like last Saturday, I had to be in the office in the night. And they were asking me, what are you doing? I said, don't worry what I'm doing, because I know what I'm doing. I have to be there, not just at the head office, at our annex offices.
All right.
Sometimes I go to Karu.
Okay.
3 weeks ago, I was in Gwagwalada by 10 p.m.
All right, let's hope your subordinates at the various other levels, including those in the local governments, are there.
They've been informed. The circular has gone
All right.
out.
Okay, we'll come to that, but we have a call from Port Harcourt. Solomon calling in from Port Harcourt. Solomon, go ahead.
Good evening. Good morning to you all. I am really enjoying this program. My question goes to Mr. Ezenwa. Please, tell us from your experience how central bank offices nationwide are being secured. And again, if the importance of INEC office in comparative analysis to central bank are not the same. Number 3, the question goes to the NCDC of that. I salute you, sir. When we are talking of defense, just like your office, to what extent are they defending all these INEC facilities nationwide? Local government by local government, state by state, and nationwide. Finally, now that the INEC offices are being bombed, the idea is that the politicians are behind it. There is no gainsaying that fact. Now, in the electoral reform, what are the punishments that are slated out to be given to the political parties whose talks and whose talks, because PDP has talks, APC has talks, Labour Party has talks. Across all the parties, they all have talks. And that is the message the retired General Mungono was sending across to the parties. Mungono said that even the APC, the presidential party, that is going to punish the talks that will disrupt the election. Remember the Anambra State election? It was like there will be no tomorrow in Anambra State. They say everybody in Anambra State are going to be crushed. And the number of security officers that were sent to Anambra State, even in a war situation, we have never seen such. What stops the federal government by deploying such forces to INEC offices? I rest my case. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Solomon. You started off with a question for Ezenwa here. But well, I don't know if Ezenwa
He's
will
asking how
right.
CBN is
which you might not be in a position to know anyway.
yes, but whatever it is I don't think they hire the Mossad or the KGB. I think that it is still Nigerian security that provides security for the. So it like I said, it all depends on what matters to us. In reality, I have come to constantly believe that if people, and I've said it on this station severally, people commit assault during election, and it's a slap on the election day, so you go. People commit murder on election day, and it is seen as election. So until we rethink this whole attitude to election, that crimes during election is not a lesser crime, and that for me is the important thing that security agents need to. This idea of they will sack me if I arrest people and all of that. Nigeria has come to that point where if you do the right thing and you are punished for it, it is no longer going to be covered. The world has gone. You will be so shocked that you will even start giving speeches in UN on account of doing the right thing. So the fear that we have left all those points. INEC has taken concrete steps to improve the electoral process. We must always put that out to our people, that elections are beginning to count. Infusion of technology and the rest of them makes this nonsense that people are doing of no consequence.
All right. There was a question for DCG Claudius, but just before I'm sure you've made and taken note of that. Just before you respond to that, let's quickly take this call in. It's been waiting for a while. Omar from Burning Kebi. It's been on the line for a while. Omar, go ahead. And so after your question, the response to Solomon's issues will be taken. Go ahead, Omar.
Thank you, Ciro. You see, security business, they say, is everybody's business. But taking responsibility is not everybody's business. Those people are not ghosts. They are not spirits. They can't perform this dastardly act and cut away with it without anybody seeing them. So somebody somewhere, somehow must take responsibility. That is my own. May God continue to bless our country.
All right. Thank you, Umar. So now back to the issue Solomon from Port Harcourt raised.
Yes, thank you. Solomon raised the issue of defense of INEC facilities at all times. And I'm sure he's wondering why these things take place without maybe prevention or a proactive measure before the incident. Like I said from the outset, that some of these activities definitely will not be put on the table of the security agents alone. There are activities of moles. There are also activities of desperate politicians. These things combined together would kind of overwhelm the security agents. You cannot deploy a whole battalion to INEC office, even though it is very, very important. I am not trying to look at it as less. Solomon himself made mention of how central bank is being secured and why is INEC offices why are INEC offices given less priority. You look at the number of personnel that had been deployed to both central bank and INEC. They're almost equal, but the approach is quite different. Where maybe in with the central bank, they could support the security agencies by logistics more than INEC, because INEC is not a finance making agency. You will appreciate more as human beings that possibly the support given will ginger not only the personnel that are on posting there, but will provide an enabling environment. For instance, the central bank, there's no how you will go without all these sensitive cameras all around. It's not the security agencies that provide such cameras. This might be lacking in INEC offices. There also you find out that in INEC offices, it might just be beer, like Mr. Ezenwa pointed out sometime that you don't, even the buildings, it's not fire retardant, nothing like that. And if an attempt is made, a civil defender will not just shoot at a protester. He definitely has to look for other ways to assuage such protests. And it's a combination of so many factors which we need to x-ray differently.
All right. Thank you for that. And there was an issue raised about INEC itself and moving on in securing its own assets as well. Yes, you have said to us that not all those who are in the security department of INEC are trained security personnel, but they also have functions to perform. How regularly do you upgrade these personnel in terms of knowledge of simple, basic security tips?
I think every situation has its own solution. When this thing started, we approached the management of the commission and they decided that there has to be training every 3 months of the security personnel of basic things we need to know so that we can protect and prevent most of the things that happen. And I think since I came on board, we have done it 3 times. I will continue to do it. We are also telling the management that is not the management itself, as I speak, has arranged with the DSS to get some of our staff trained. They are also getting in touch with the NSCDC to get some of our staff trained. This, we think, will go a long way. And it's not going to be an ad hoc thing. We are going to make it a permanent part of INEC, where from time to time the security agencies will come, tell us what to do, how to do it. As I speak, the top management will be having their training as soon as the chairman comes back on even personal security, so that wherever we are, we'll be able to know what to do. Once the management knows that everybody has been done and responsibilities are taken, I think we'll improve a lot in our security situation.
All right, thank you very much. And we're almost rounding up at this point, except for one little thing. Quickly, the suggestion has been put out there that, well, INEC is extremely important. INEC facility is a critical infrastructure. Why don't we deploy? And someone went on to suggest that the way we secure the central bank, we should secure all INEC offices. I'm looking at a situation that even with all these other institutions we've talked about, it is virtually impossible to deploy security agencies to every single institution. So there has to be something beyond all of that. You hold elections and you deploy your security apparatus to that state. You're coming to a situation where you're holding a general election. You do not have that.
No. The first is there's a political economy to deployment. Okay, 31,000 policemen 11,000 NSDC officials, you know. So, and there is no service delivery and value for money component to it, where you say, okay, we have deployed 31,000 to that place. How many arrests did you make? All of those things. All of those are papered. So there has to be an oversight into deployment, first and foremost. But there is something we need to take away. The transactional, hovering around where people work. So the man who works in Central Bank has a different attitude than the one who works in INEC. If you understand that. So what then is important is that INEC should also work to create the enabling environment for those who will police the elections. If they are motivated enough, the police in the different states have the capacity to police elections in their own states if the right motivation is there. But beyond the motivation, we must understand that we have a collective responsibility to our country.
Yes.
And that if this democracy fails, that even the security agents themselves, especially the police, know the consequence.
Okay. It is on that note, we must leave this conversation. I always say no one program can exhaust the issues. So we'll leave this conversation here and thank our guests. We'd like to thank Claudius Nladi Yakubu, Deputy Commandant General in charge of Critical National Assets and Infrastructure, the NSCDC. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, sir.
Lebari Undu, Director Security, INEC. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And Ezewa Wagu, Chairman Partners for Electoral Reform. It's always a delight to have you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. That's our program today. We thank you also for being part of it. Next week, we'll be back with NTA Tuesday Live. I'm Cyril Stober. Continue to stay safe.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
This is the moment we've been waiting. It's time to rise up, do it again. Africa, do your dance now. God, do your winning dance now. So we never lose it again. Africa, rise up. Yes, we gon' rise up. Africa, rise up. Africa, rise up. Yes, we gon' rise up. Africa, rise up. Hello, beautiful people. Thanks for joining us once again. Let me officially wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year in advance. It is that time of the year that I love so much. And please, let the hope keep flowing through us to one another. Now, sit back, relax, and let's begin. I am a firm believer in supporting and encouraging people in whatever they do. Now, when you're honored, respected, and encouraged in your particular field of endeavor, it not only shows how knowledgeable your expertise is, it also shows your stance to the outside world as formidable. Here is the Nigerian Media Merit Awards. Let's see it.
What a joy to have an occasion like this. It is often said that reward is an appreciation to recognize teamwork and outstanding performance by individuals, organizations, or groups. It is always given for a job well done. This year, 2022, the Nigeria Media Merit Award, NMMA, held their 30th edition of the Ground Annual Media Excellence Award, which was attended by media leaders, veterans, professionals, stakeholders, government leaders, and family, as well as friends.
This honor will serve as an incentive to members of this profession that they will never walk alone. We're here to watch their back.
What were the criteria for the awards?
The criteria for scoring include accuracy, originality, initiative, evidence, why, what, which, how, freshness of ideas, depth, perspective, language, the mood, balance and objectivity, human interests, and social significance. Each of these was allotted marks that will total 100.
It was time for the chief host to make remarks.
It's a great delight to be hosting the board of trustees, the management, and members of this time-tested and enduring Nigerian Media Merit Award, the most reputable and credible platform for recognizing and rewarding media excellence in our country on your grand 30th anniversary here at the Center of Excellence, at the State of Aquatic Splendor, at the media headquarters of Nigeria here in Lagos State. This is where all the melting points of all media engagements, all the rough edges, all the good points, and all the bakings that has happened is inside your Lagos, my Lagos, our Lagos. Thank you very much for bringing it to Lagos one more time.
The Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, represented the grand patron of NMMA, President Muhammadu Buhari.
This annual award has helped to foster media excellence, while also becoming the best in its class. The NMMA has earned its epaulet as the foremost and most prestigious media excellence scheme in Africa. I can only implore the brilliant minds behind this scheme not to rest on their oars.
The evening saw several awards to individuals that represent different media houses and also stations that had performed excellently well. Channels Television got Best TV Station of the Year for the 15th time. Nigerian Television Authority NTA got 2 awards, TV Newscaster of the Year Fatima Umar Bubar and TV Program Presenter of the Year Lolade Adeniji Adele.
Fatima Umar Buba, NTA. Esther Omopariola, TVC News. Patience Lenre John, NTA.
And the winner is Fatima Umar Buba, NTA.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Congrats.
The television program presenter of the year. The nominees are Ololade Adeniji Adele, NTA. Esther Omopariola, TVC News. Ololade Adeniji Adele, NTA.
And the winner is, seems we're going the same direction, Ololade Adeniji Adele, NTA.
You are representing her. Okay. Congratulations.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Right. Yes.
As a television newscaster, winning this award, it's like the peak of everything. And you see the caliber of people winning, you know that, yes, this is meritorious. So I'm very, very happy. I'm very excited. I don't know what to say. I'll just have to say thank you so much, NTA family.
Well, it's gratifying. It's something that one ought to be proud of and to be happy about. That just as you said, the several years of hard work, consistency, attention to details has finally come to be rewarded, on the national level. So it feels really good and exhilarating.
It's heartwarming that NTA finally is getting back to reckoning. We need more of these kinds of outings.
The founder of Dar Communication AIT, Chief Raymond Dokbesi, was also honored at the event. The Nigerian Media Merit Award was established to recognize, honor, celebrate, and promote media excellence in Nigeria.
Now, congratulations to all the nominees and winners for creating truth and magic in television and, more importantly, in the world of media in Nigeria. I must also say a big congratulations to the NTA family because we won as well. Congratulations. To our second story of the day, and still in the sphere of growth and excellence in what you do. Last week, we brought to you the NTA Programs Directorate Conference that was all about training and, of course, understanding what we really do in media. Now, this week, we're bringing you the second part of that particular conference. Want to find out what I'm talking about? Let's see this.
The annual Programs Directorate Conference brought together staff and executives of the Nigerian Television Authority to learn and prefer solutions to drive the network forward. For 3 days, attendees were riveted on the state of Nigerian media, the way forward, and clear indications of action. With transiting governmental leadership, the conference comes at a critical time in the network's history, as its roles in the changing socio-economic and political landscape was examined. Major points of discussion were directed towards regular equipping of employees and staff with the necessary skills relevant to their roles to not only facilitate optimal performance, but also ensure the sustainability of organizational developmental goals and objectives. Experienced resource persons also took participants through the dynamics of television production in educative and interactive sessions.
In fact, it's not only bring interviewing people as seductive. That's the word. Before you know you will seduce, you are following information that you otherwise. And you limited in your thinking. And you open a new paradox. Do you feel like in public health? Who do you discuss issues with? You ever sit down in your offices and just have a just conversation about anything that is going on around you in society?
This gives us the opportunity to refresh our memory, to learn how to do things, differently.
Once we know what we're supposed to be doing, and we accept the fact that we are lagging, we accept the challenge, then we are the better for it. I, as a person, I have learned so much, even though I've been in the system all these years.
We are in an era where television has been reduced to chips. It has been reduced to things that even on your own, as a reporter, as a producer and all of that, you can handle some of these things.
And we're hoping that, after going through these 4 days, they'll be able to take something back to their various stations. Like we say, train the trainer. This is one of those things that when they are well trained, although it's a short time, but short intensive training, so that when they get back, they can call their people and say, this is what we've learned, and we want you. Although we also had people on Zoom joining us throughout the sessions. And I'm hoping that as we continue to do this, you will see improvements on our screen.
Participants availed themselves the opportunity of not just free medical checks, but consultation sessions with doctors, provision of free medication, optometric services, and dispensation of up to 150 complimentary eyeglasses, all made possible by the When in Need Foundation with support from K Medicare Hospital. Another highlight was the recognition of exceptional production staff for their tireless contributions during the course of the year. The Executive Director of Programs received an award of excellence for leadership and mentorship from staff of the Programs Directorate and the Director General was equally honored with an award of excellence for leadership and support by the management and staff.
When you are awarded, it means you have to do more. So right now, for what I've learned from this conference, from what the resource person has taught us, I think by the time I come back, I'll be going to be a better person.
Television is all about teamwork. The fact that we have not won an award does not in any way identify you as somebody who is not hardworking. Because those who have won the awards today wouldn't have been able to make it without the support of their colleagues. So the challenge is for all of us to make sure that we work together so that we can succeed together.
The participants are encouraged to channel the knowledge gotten towards ensuring better delivery in terms of content creation and execution. It was indeed a memorable conference, and many are eager for another experience.
Congratulations to all the awardees. Keep doing what you know how to do best, and the sky is your starting point. Now to our third story of the day. There are so many initiatives and platforms out there that are genuinely promoting the girl child and our existence in this time and age. One of them is what we're about to show you right now. Let's see it.
The Women in Information Technology, NICWIT, organized an information and communication technology quiz competition for the girls in secondary schools in the FCT to commemorate the International Girl Child Day. This is to help educate the girl child in information technology, which is the trending way of learning in most schools in the country and around the world. The event started with training the students in some aspects of using the computer, in programming, and lots more. The head of ICT department of the Women Development Center welcomed the participants and gave an insight on the likely benefits for the participants.
Majority of IT industry has been scattered away by men, and we women were a minority. So we have to bring our young girls, make them like IT as a career and pursue IT as a career, because it is a wider industry.
The concept behind this training is to get the young girls, secondary school girls, catch them young, to intimate them about information communication technology matters. Then it's also to make them understand that they can do what guys can do. It's just about engendering equal participation in information technology matters.
The training took a while, and later the quiz competition commenced with 3 students each from 16 schools in attendance. The representative of the executive vice chairman of the Nigerian Communication Commission, NCC, Nafisat Husman Ruga, gave words of encouragement to the participating students.
I'm sure a lot of you know about cybersecurity. You know, you're following Agent Corp. Agent Corp is a creation of the commission, and it guides children and young people on how to stay safe on the cyberspace. So it's very important. You can visit our website. You'll be able to check the activities of Agent Corp. Agent COP, Child Online Protection. So that will guide you on how to stay safe in the cyberspace.
There were goodwill messages by the representative of the national president, NIWIT, and the head of e-learning at the Federal Ministry of Education.
Truth now is you really don't need to even go outside the comfort of your house to get access to these things. Your phones, a lot of you have phones. As a child, I didn't have phones, so I wait for my parents to come back home before I have access to the internet. Make good use of it. I always say for the phones, the laptops, is the good, bad, and ugly. You have to choose what you want to do. And nobody's going to teach you. You're going to learn the basics in school, but you're going to teach yourself. You're going to identify that I want to be this, and you have to follow suit.
So please don't let it just end with the girls here.
please let it extend to others, because we are particular about girls and teachers, female teachers into the tech industry. We have a few of them, we have many of them, but we want more of them.
After all said and done, 3 students came out with outstanding performance in the quiz, taking first, second and third positions respectively. Prizes and awards were given to deserving students and the participants. The winners expressed how they felt seeing the beautiful prizes given to them.
So happy to have won the first position after the quiz test.
I wasn't expecting it, so I feel happy and proud that at least I've made a name for my school.
What I thought was, well, I expected it.
Indeed, it is important that schools and government pay attention to the girl child by training them in information technology to make the learning process easier and better for the future of the girl child and the nation.
It is everything to do with the girl child. All hands should be on deck. It is also beautiful to see more initiatives and more platforms come up to champion the purpose of the girl child in our society. And that particular story was beautiful to watch. To our final story of the day. There are so many platforms and so many initiatives out there, but there are some that are so definitive. And this particular channel of creativity, I love to always introduce you to. Let's take you to the world of beauty pageants with a difference.
The annual Face of Art Nigeria Beauty Pageant and African Giants Awards recently concluded its 6th edition to much fanfare. This year's event hosted over 3,000 audience members from different parts of Nigeria who came to either cheer their favorite contestants or to join an awardee in celebrating their accolade. Face of Art Nigeria Beauty Pageant is organized to empower young ladies with dreams and aspirations to impact their world while showcasing the beauty of the Black woman.
When you make impact, you don't go empty. Yes, I used to say impact is higher than income. And these queens are out to make impact. They make connect, they get to discover themselves. You know, when you're a role model, the first thing that has happened to you is that you have discovered yourself. Before people begin to learn through you, you know, they discover themselves. And then we try to also push them extra to accomplish their dream and vision. Some of them want to go into business, some of them want to go into entertainment and all that. We use the platform and the opportunity of a crown on their head to grant them that privilege of meeting great people who are going to help them spotlight their talent, skill, and all that they have inside of them.
The pageant also serves as an avenue to celebrate Nigeria's cultural heritage, art and craft through exhibitions and performance. The queens, when crowned, use their offices to carry out charity projects and to campaign against rape, crimes, and other social vices in the society.
It has not been easy, but I thank God that I was able to cope back there in camp. The management has been good to us, and it has been a great experience so far. My primary assignment is going out and creating skills acquisition to people, making them to know what I know how to do, teaching them some few things I know how to do. I know I am not perfect, but I am willing to do my best.
During the course of the show, the African Giants Awards were handed out to various members of the community to celebrate ideas and reward excellence, leadership, quality, and professionalism.
I feel on top of the world. I feel so excited. I feel so great.
I feel great. I feel honored. I feel happy. I mean, it's the biggest thing for the year that has happened to me.
This is very laudable. You know, like this is like this award is about uniting Africa. So for me, it's something different. It's something extra, and it's something that should be encouraged. It's really